Good evening. Good evening. Welcome in, everyone. Lovely to see you all. It's Wednesday. It's the middle of the week. More importantly, Aston Villa destroyed Club Brugge last night, and that means that everything is good in the world. Now, okay, I might accept that that's a slight over-exaggeration of how the game itself actually played out, but it's the result that matters. That's all that matters, and subsequently, everything is good. Now, let's say hello to all you glorious, lovely people who are in. We've got Blue Lions in. Welcome in, my dude. He's just had a nice little day trip to Manchester. Sounds perfect. Sounds absolutely wonderful. We have Night of Knee in over on YouTube. Welcome in, my dude. How are you doing? We've got Rich Sun in over. Rich Sun in. We've got Zerachul here as well. We've got Ulems. Thank you very much for the follow, Ulems. And talking of follows, welcome in CatDog9095. Lovely to have you in. If you're comfortable chatting, I'd love to know like who you support, who you're playing with in FM, but there is no obligations to do so whatsoever. If you want to lurk away. We also have, did I say Zerachul? I think I said Zerachul already, but we'll say hello to Zerachul again. Mr. Echo is in. Bless you very much, wishing me health. Yes, I think I should probably address right from the top. Obviously, on Monday evening, we had to finish the stream a little bit early because my heart played up. It's one of those things that happens generally quite regularly every couple of weeks. Up until now, we've been relatively lucky that it hasn't happened on stream. I tend to get enough of a warning to move off, but it's nothing, I say nothing to worry about. It's something for me to worry about. I worry about it with the doctors, and it's all medicated and it's all fine. It's just part of life. So yeah, we're back. We've got at least a good 2 weeks until we've got to worry about that happening again as well. So we can crack on and actually get through pre-season like we were meant to on Monday. We have Johnson in. Welcome in, Johnson. How you doing? He's good. Been reading a lot of legal text, trying to understand the complex ownership and stuff about Hanover. Interesting. That sounds like dedication. The Dutch FM is in. Welcome in, my dude. Lovely to see you. How are you, sire? Winkinator's here as well. Lovely to see you. Coratiba's in. Coratiba, how are you doing? Oh my word. So Mr. Echo's come here to chill on stream because in your save, currently with Fortuna Dusseldorf, you're getting sacked. That's not good. Well, I say that's not good. What that means is the door is about to be open to some different kind of adventure within that world. You know, sometimes there are genuinely saves where I've wanted to get sacked because I think it'll be really interesting to see where it then takes you. You've now got this moment where you've got something that's going to push you. You want to avenge the situation. Maybe you look to try and take over a rival and usurp them in the standings. Yeah, maybe one door's closing in your current save. Maybe that means another door is opening. Live to Prof is in. Welcome in. How are you, sir? Lovely to see you. So Johnson says they're in danger of losing professional license. You can't find a new managing director in 2 weeks. That's quite severe. That is very, very severe. Those are some interesting rules indeed. So Zerachul says we take joy in you not being dead. Indeed, so do I. Well, most days I take joy in not being dead. You know, there are some mornings where I wake up and I'm like, oh, it would be quite nice right about now. But it's okay because generally speaking, we're coming towards the warmer months. Spring is round the corner, right? So good. Dutch is eating right now. Hopefully, Winkinator hopefully can join the Eredivisie network save tonight. That'd be cool. Didn't stream today. Probably tomorrow. Transfer time with Almir. Marvelous stuff. That should be good. That should be good. So Knight of Knee says he's good. That's marvelous. So Zerachul, Knight of Knee has a question for you, and that question is Zerachul a StarCraft reference, or is his noggin playing tricks? I'll be honest, I know nothing about StarCraft, so I couldn't enlighten at all there. So Dutch FM asks, have I eaten yet? And if so, what have you had? I haven't. I will be getting some munch after the stream, kind of deliberately, because a little bit of an extension of having to finish early on Monday. I then went to bed quite early on Monday. I woke up at about 2 in the morning on Tuesday. I then went to bed at about 7 p.m. last night because I woke up at 2 a.m. and was up again at about 3 a.m. this morning. So I'm trying to avoid getting into that sleepy state post-dinner, because otherwise I think the stream might be over in only an hour. So we're going to save that for a little bit later. I've just got a pizza in the freezer, something nice and quick to chuck in, stuff my face, and then go to sleep. So nickname 123321's in. Good evening. How are you, my dude? RJ's in as well. How are you, sir, as well? Mr. Echo says it's a journeyman. So as you say, it's opportunistic. Perfect. That's what the journeyman needs, an antagonist, and that antagonist appears to be the Fortuna Dusseldorf board. Zerachul confirms it is indeed a StarCraft reference. So what is it a reference to in StarCraft? I know very little about it. Is StarCraft, which is the one with the Zerg rush, isn't it? Where the tactic that you build those units very, very early on, and you try and attack before somebody's been able to set up their defenses. That's all I think I know about StarCraft. I'm not even confident that is StarCraft. Quan is in. Welcome in, my dude. You've made it to another stream. My word. It is indeed. It is lovely to have you in. Cyril is here as well. Musterman just tapped in. I know you've already talked about your hair, so I'm not going to ask about it, but I'm rocking the new look. Thank you very much. It's I was going to say it's not growing on me, but that's quite literal because there's none there. It still feels weird looking in the mirror. It's not the first time I've been bald. I was bald when I started my YouTube journey just over 18 months ago. But it just takes a little bit of adjusting, doesn't it? Just takes a little bit of adjusting. Right, so we've got some more news here on Hanover. Johnson says there's a council of 4 people who appoint or sack the managing director, but they're currently in a split situation, 2 versus 2. I'm sure they can agree on a solution before the deadline. You imagine they would settle on something before they lose their license. They're stupid, but not that stupid. I mean, I suppose we'll find out. But yeah, you think they wouldn't. Another bald expert manager. I mean, bald is the way, let's face it. How many of us in the FM community have been playing this game for a while? It's only reasonable that we are... okay, granted, I'm follically challenged by choice right now, and I don't want to mock those who don't have a choice over the matter. So Knight of Knee does have a comment on that. So he says he believes it's part of the Protoss faction. So Zerachul, that's your cue again. Is it part of the Protoss faction? So what does Zerachul say there? Sometimes you prefer a dictator, if only he is nice. Sometimes it depends who the dictator is, you know. Yeah, let's avoid what I was going to say there. So Quan is expecting a treble or 7-0 loss against your biggest rival, no in between. That is probably about right. And Knight of Knee says half the hirsuteness, they mustermanness. Indeed, let's face it, the musterman is in the beard. That's why this bit doesn't matter quite so much. They say the bald are the better. Oh, they might do, Winkinator, they might do. So Zerachul has confirmed they are the shadow assassin of the Protoss. And big spoiler, he dies in the last game. There we have it. Talking about games, shall we head on into FM? Let's catch everyone up. So I know many of you were here on Monday evening. Nothing much has changed since then. But for those that weren't, let's get you up to speed. We are at the end of season 7. It's our first season in the Bundesliga with Darmstadt. We finished in the European places quite comfortably in the end. Quite comfortably. A good 12 points between us and 8th place. You know, if you gave us an extra 12 points, that's the difference between 2nd and 7th. So some really, really encouraging signs there. And so we've now been going through, we did a little bit of a review of the playing squad on Monday evening. We identified some possible transfer targets as well. We've got a few players already coming in. So let's introduce the players that we've got coming in due course. We've got a backup goalkeeper in Jens Hyland coming in from Cercle Bruges. He was pretty decent, you know. He faced 1.55 xG per game and he denied 0.28. So a young goalkeeper, a little undersized at 6 foot, but seems to be a good player that will come in as a backup to our starter Mohamed Sahinovic. I'm quite pleased with Hyland coming in. He's going to be earning a wage of about, I think it's maybe 3,800 euros, 3,400 euros. So nice cheap one there. He does have some Did we really agree that? That doesn't look like a contract I'd agree. Apparently it is. No, I wasn't paying much attention, evidently. But RJ says, just walk on your hands, you'll be hairy and well shaved. Indeed, indeed. I mean, as we get older, there's hair everywhere, isn't there? Bloody legs. DM Basis Sin, welcome in, my dude. How are you? I'm mostly intrigued by the lack of hat. That's fair. Largely because the hats feel really, really weird. I've been wearing the baseball cap quite a bit this week. That's okay, but the beanies and stuff, the friction of the hair just feels really uncomfortable. I don't know what it is. Just doesn't quite feel right. It'll take some getting used to, I'm sure, essentially. So Jens Haaland comes in. He's going to be a backup goalkeeper. We've got Tosin Adarabioyo joining us. He's going to be on about 42k per week. He's going to come in to be the right-hand-sided centre-back so that we can play a ball-playing defender on that side as well. Because look at those traits. This is a man who tries killer balls often, tries long-range passes, likes to switch balls to wide area, tries tricks, tries to play way out of trouble. Those are all the kind of things that mean he's probably going to give the ball away a lot and be responsible for a lot of goals. But, let's have a little bit of excitement in our backline. If we can have that someone on the other side to Kenneth Schmidt doing those kind of things, hopefully that's going to be, give us a bit more balance, a bit better progression from our defensive area as well. So Tosin Adarabioyo is a big arrival on a free transfer from Villarreal. We also have Adam Asnu arriving to potentially be our new left wing back. Now, Adam Asnu does some things that I really like. He dribbles an obscene amount. He creates, he pressures, he wins his tackles. He might not make many tackles, evidently doesn't need to, but he wins them when he does. So he should be a great arrival as well. I think he's on about 18k. He is indeed 18k he'll be on, which is absolutely fantastic for us. I'm sure that's not right. We did not agree. We always negotiate these out. I have a feeling that actually those values are wrong. Red App's in. Welcome in, my dude. That looks good on you, brother. Bless you. How are you, Red App? Lovely to see you. DM Basis is good. Halfway through my week off work. But it's not even halfway through because you've got the weekend to come as well. So I know this feeling when like you get to Wednesday on a week off and you're like, oh god, I've only got 2 days off. But you've got 4 days off. Thank God. Thank God. So DM Basis remembers a few years back when I finally decided to shave his head. Definitely takes some getting used to. Indeed, I mean, when I started content creation back in just over 18 months ago, was the last time I think I'd shaved off. And I'd had it shaved for a few months at that point. It was kind of getting used to it. And then I got lazy. Then I got lazy again. But yeah, funny what the job search makes you do. So Winkinator asks, which skin do you use? I use my skin. My physical skin. I peel it off and I plaster it onto the screen. No. So I use the Mustermann Iconic. Now this isn't a public release. As you can see, it's currently in a very experimental phase. Right now, we're working through some different ideas based on a design that I saw for So Rare. There are some changes coming up, as you guys will see, because we've done some reworking of the attribute page as well, which we'll go over in a little bit of time. Now, this very specific version that I've been playing around with today isn't available to anyone because I've literally not even finished messing around, and you'll see that in a moment. But they're on my Patreon. Patrons do have access to like all the various like little skinning things that I do. So the versions we've been using on previous streams, they've got access to, but they might only work at say 1 or 2 resolutions. Right, back to the guys. We've got Johan Hove. Johan Hove is arriving from Groningen. Now we signed like with all of these free transfers, we'd agreed them back in January when I didn't think that qualifying for Europe was going to be a likely thing. Now, Johan Hove is a player who gets forwards, he scores, he creates, he pressures, he wins possession. All very, very exciting stuff. Whether he's actually going to be quite good enough to make the step up to European competition that I have some question marks about now. Now, he was playing in the Keukenkampioen division. That's the second division in Netherlands. So it is a big step up. But he comes in. He's on a relatively nice wage as well. There, we've got it there. It says 2.5k. We'll find out when they eventually arrive. I'm sure that's all wrong. I know we got him cheap, but 2.5k I'm sure is like what he's earning at the moment, isn't it? It is. It's definitely showing us their current wages. That makes a lot more sense. And then finally, we've got Martin Stenbring. Martin Stenbring has been recommended to us by our scouts over and over and over and over again. He's a 21-year-old striker. He's probably not going to be part of the first team. Maybe he's going to be sent out on loan immediately, which is quite possible there, because he's not been great, but he does score comfortably over his XG, partly because of penalties. But still, even if you add those penalties on, that's 11 goals, 6.81 XG, absolutely crazy. So he's going to come in as a developmental option. We do need some depth in our striking positions, so maybe he gets involved a little bit. So Red App shaved his during COVID. It was quite an experience. That's fair. RJ says we need a Darabio in Trento with all those traits. Dear God, we do. Dear God, we do. So Mr. Echo asks, can you please see how Elfige is doing in your save? It's a guy who scored so many headers for me. I'm just curious. Nesto Elfige is a full name. I shall do indeed. Not a name I'm familiar with. I don't have a Nesta Elfige in my save from the looks of things, I'm afraid. Let's just try Elfige. Nothing for Elfige. Anything for Nesta? Oh, we've got the obvious Nestas in there. Doesn't seem to be anyone with the first name of Nesta coming up. So it looks like, unfortunately, he's not in our save there, Echo. So Medical Car's in. Welcome in, my dude. Evening. How are you, sir? DM Basis had long hair until you were about 31, but I was clearly starting to lose it and it was thinning out. I was in denial about it. Shaving it off and keeping it that way is the best thing I've done for myself in a long time. That is fair. That is like, I've certainly noticed that. I mean, it kind of probably does show up a little bit here that this is quite thin. I mean, obviously with it shaved off, but like there is definitely thinning going on with my hair. But I've got those half Greek genes that means that it was stupidly thick to begin with. But yeah, I can completely and utterly get that. The last time I shaved my head off was mainly my hair off was mainly because I was starting to get just so damn annoyed of having to hoover every single day. Right, so there is one other player that I haven't paid attention to here, and that's Anselmo Garcia McNulty. Because shortly before this stream started, I went through and had a look at the squad and just making sure that we were addressing the right positions. And one position we hadn't addressed was, say, a backup left-footed centre-back. And Anselmo Garcia McNulty might just fit that criteria. A man who, we're talking about ball-playing defenders in our outside centre-back positions. He likes to bring ball out of defence. He likes to switch the ball. And generally speaking, down in the Zweite Bundesliga, he's been pretty good. 70% tackle win rates, maybe a little on the low side, but he wins his headers. He's progressive. He's creating chances. He's even getting amongst the goals. And with 5 million euros, that seems like a reasonable price. He's a player that I've wanted for a while, but when we've needed to sign a player in that position, he either wasn't available, he just signed new contracts, or we felt that someone better, namely Kenneth Smith, was available. So here's actually an opportunity for us to bring. I've submitted that bid literally just before the stream started. So he's going to be... We don't need to wait for scout reports on him. We've already had him well scouted. He's always been on our radar. I know that not just this season he's been good, but in previous seasons too. So I'm happy to pull the trigger. So let's go have a look at the squad. As you can see, the squad page has changed. This is where I'm saying that things aren't quite working exactly as they're meant to. I was trying out some new ideas a little bit earlier on. So CatDog asks, does a player's personality matter to you to some extent? Like if a scout added a pro or con regarding their personality, does this impact your decision to sign them? So generally speaking, not much. I am obviously quite mindful of the more negative personalities and how personalities can help you understand players in terms of their development. Things in particular that I'm interested in will be players who are ambitious, players that will improve ideally, but ultimately I'm looking at performance-based approach. And if a player has a bad personality but is regularly performing, then I don't care too much. Like, that personality isn't holding them back. And humans are humans. So I don't mind too much about having someone who maybe... All right, now a lot of these players are still real. So we might have some balanced personalities like we have with Raphael Schiffel here. We won't know if they're negative personalities per se. But yeah, like, doesn't matter too much for me yet. So Dutch FM says, happy you're joining the FMNL Super League, by the way. Wasn't sure I could talk about it yet, but now we can. Can we talk about it? Aha, fantastic. It's going to be great. Yes. I mean, I can only be very brief in it because I don't know enough of the details right now. But guys, there is something coming up that shall hopefully be quite exciting. We will let you know a little bit more in due course. So yeah, where I want to head over to. I want to head over to the squad planner, and specifically Tinky Winky. Tinky Winky because it looks like the thing on the top of the Teletubby, the aerial. Maybe that's just me who thinks that, but there we go. So if we take a look through here, I'm going to need to do this as we go. So my thinking is that we've got, in fact, actually, is there a clear all button? There isn't. I'm going to clear all. That's going to be the quickest way around for me. Those positions are right there, but where there's loads of these guys in, I'm going to just clear everyone out. I'm going to run through where I think we are with our squad at the moment. I was doing some calculating as well on a lovely little spreadsheet of what I would expect our wage expenditure should be. I think we're going to look to adjust our budgets a little bit as well, so that we can kind of have a more realistic plan going forwards. And react. Some of this is going to be reliant on us getting the players sold that we're expecting to sell. So Mr. Echo says, thanks for trying, because he plays for a French second division team. We've got France loaded. We've got, like, France is in there. I'm pretty certain. Yeah, we've got France down to the Championnat National. So maybe he didn't break through and he retired early or something, maybe. Who knows? So Zerachul says that's a ball-winning midfielder anchor name. What? The Garcia Anselmo McNulty. Great name, isn't it? Absolutely incredible name. Oh, welcome in, Heston, by the way. Lovely to see you, my dude. I hope you're doing well. You haven't missed much this evening. So you finished 5th and won the Portuguese Cup in your first season with Gil Vicente. Off to Europa League. Although I'd honestly prefer the Conference League. Fantastic work, Heston. Absolutely incredible stuff. So I need to take this player from the shortlist, in fact. So my view is we've got Tosin Adarabioyo in the right centre-back slot. In fact, let me just pop over here. I would then want him to be a ball-playing defender. So that's more realistic. In the middle, I expect us to have Benedict Wimmer and Raphael Schiffel fighting out for that position. I think Schiffel gets the nod for me at the moment, but I imagine it's kind of going to be like a 1A, 1B kind of situation. We might prefer some players at different times. And obviously, whichever one of these starts in the centre, the other one is kind of the primary backup for Adarabioyo as well. And then on the left, we're looking at Kenneth Schmidt. Kenneth Smith is obviously a very, very key part of what we do. Absolutely fantastic player. Now, he's the only left-footed centre-back we have currently, which is why I want to bring in McNulty. That would give me some depth there. Whilst on the right here, we're going to use a youth player. I think our best choice amongst second team player will be Phil McCracken. Phil McCracken isn't really, I don't think, ready to be a starter. He's always been around the fringes of the squad, but He's not particularly good at heading. He's not great in terms of his passing or his first touch. So he's not really going to be like a proper like-for-like backup in that regard. So the way I see that with our defensive options is Wimmer is our backup right centre-back. We bring in Garcia McNulty. We have 5 senior centre defenders for 3 places and 1 emergency defender in Phil McCracken. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. We won't really going to address our defensive area too much, but just that 1 extra body I think is going to make it's going to help us be a little bit more secure going into the European competitions. So there's been a goal for Inter already. Marcus Thuram, incredible stuff. So Dutch FM says it's going to be exciting for sure. Knowing what is all going on behind the scenes, it can be quite big. The interest levels in it are absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Right, so right wing back, we have Rashidi, we have Anton Guy, and we have Hu Yin. Now, Rashidi doesn't want to sign a new contract and his expires at the end of next season, so he's transfer listed for 5 million euros. There is interest in him, lots of interest. So 13 clubs are interested in him at the moment, but with the window closed, we're not going to be able to sell him quite yet. So we're going to assume that William Rashidi is sold. That leaves us with Anton Guy and Hu Yin. We need depth here. We need depth here because Anton Guy, I'm afraid to say, has had a horrendous time with injuries. We signed him in the summer of 2028. Since then, this up has been his injury history, which is obscene, absolutely obscene. And we look at his scout report or his coach report. Injury proneness isn't something that's listed, so it seems like he's been very, very unlucky, perhaps. But we can't rely on him there. So we do need a right back. At the moment, my feeling is we do have a couple being scouted here. We've got Zakaria El Aradi, who's more of a winger, and we've got Luka Pazurek. Luka Pazurek is the player that I'm currently favouring. It looks like from an expense point of view, he's reasonably affordable. Hopefully we can get somewhere not... if it's towards the upper end of that valuation, maybe not. But he fits that mould of fullbacks, that wingbacks that I like. Dribble, create, pressure, tackle. Does them all really well. So he's currently the player that I'm hoping we can bring in. Maybe that changes as we get more scout reports through. We are probably going to wait until Rashidi is sold before we look to make a move for Pazarek, or whoever it might be. But he would potentially come in as our starter. So in defence midfield, at the Segundo Volante, that would be, as far as I'm concerned, it's Andre Brooks, and it's no, from the shortlist, it's Johan Hove. Johan Hove can't, or Johan Hove isn't that comfortable as a defensive midfielder. So I think he's awkward, he's unconvincing. But I think that he should fit that profile all right. So Rich says, in your Man City mix save, after 5 Premier League games, your XG is 13.8. And you're underperforming it by 4. Okay, that last bit makes sense. Ake has some learning to do in his new role as a striker. That is crazy. That is crazy. So just for some context there as well, for those that don't know, Rich is currently doing a Man City mix save whereby every player has to play out of position. So he's got Nathan Ake up front. He's played Kyle Walker up front. I'm not sure if Haaland was injured at the time, wasn't he? But I don't know if he's come back, maybe as a centre-back. So it's just all over the place. That is absolutely crazy. Right, so Ulem says, just wanted to ask how you go about getting the right player in a transfer window. Like, say, a striker that can score goals aplenty. What would you look at? Goals, question mark, says the quiz. So what I would look at would depend on the tactic, and it's kind of what I cover in almost every single Moneyball clinic out there. Do I have a command that's called just YouTube? I'm not sure if I do, so I'll try that. If that fails, I'll then try that instead. So generally speaking, it's going to depend on exactly what I'm looking for. If I'm looking for, say, an advanced forward, I'm probably going to be looking at things like dribbles. I'm going to be looking at shot accuracy. I'm going to be looking at XG over performance. If I'm looking at someone who's going to be creating, then maybe I'm going to be looking at expected assists. If I'm looking at someone who's going to hold up the ball and bring others into play, I'm going to be looking at possession lost. So it really, really changes depending on the need of the tactic. And we will be going over some of that in terms of during today as well. But there was never a one answer per position kind of thing, I'm afraid to say. So yeah, Andre Brooks, Johan Hove as my Segundo Volantes. We could possibly do with one more in that role, maybe as like an emergency option. Then on the left here, we would have, potentially at least, where's Nürnberger? Is Nürnberger not being listed as a midfielder? He's not. He's been listed as a wing-back. Bless him. So Nürnberger is in the last year of his contract. We were negotiating with him. Those negotiations fell down. He's going to be 31 at the end of the season. But I really like Fabian Nürnberger. He played a mixture of games at wing-back and at defensive midfield for us last season. But when he was at the base of our midfield, we seemed to be quite good in terms of our control. He did a really good job of staying back and defending and helping guard against those transitions. So I'm very happy with Nürnberger as a defensive midfielder. However, I would like to be succession planning. I'm happy to keep hold of him, even though he's got quite good value there. I'm quite happy to keep hold of him, have him as a rotation piece, or maybe as a starter as we look to bring someone else along, ready to take over the starter spot for the following season. Yannick Mousend is not that player. Yannick Mousend's got 2 years left on his contract, but doesn't really have that much value, not really worth selling. He's a centre-back naturally, but has played at the base of our midfield. Please do excuse me. Pardon me. Yeah, so he has played quite a bit at the base of our midfield, also occasionally as a defender. His tackle win rate and header win rate has been poor, and as such, I don't really see him as a centre-back going forwards. So as a backup option in defensive midfield, I'm quite happy with, but not necessarily as someone that I think is going to compete for that position as a starter in the long term. So I do want a player here. We do have two players that could be that. We've got Garrido and we've got La Bamba, who's also listed as a defender. No Mbamba here. So both of them have contracts expiring at the end of next season. Both of them asked to leave during the course of the season because they wanted big pay rises, and we said no. So both of them are transfer listed. We've got a lot of interest in Garrido. I expect that we're going to be able to get rid of him quite easily. We've got not as much interest in Mbamba, but I do expect both of them are going to be leaving. Hopefully making us a decent bit of money as well whilst we do so. And then at left wing back, we've got Adam Asnu. He's the player that we've brought in. He's already agreed to come. And Tim Muller. So Tim Muller, pretty solid for us this season. Only registered 2 assists, but that's not from lack of trying. So he exact same thing that we talk about for the wing backs: dribble, create, pressure, tackle. Does those things reasonably well. Did have a couple of issues with injuries and being able to stay fit throughout the course of the season. So if we see there, we've had like sprained knee ligaments in November. Well, we had a bruised ankle, followed by sprained knee ligaments, followed by a pulled hamstring, followed by a bruised shin. And so he struggled to stay fit for us to be able to rely on him, which is why we had Nürnberger playing out there. Now, our wing backs have to do a lot of work in a formation where they're the only ones on the flank. That means that they're often subbed off, but Nürnberger can play there, Brooks can play there as well, so we've got enough cover, I think, generally speaking, that we don't need any further reinforcements in that position. In fact, we can cancel that now, because that's all been covered in that respect. So Rich says Haaland and De Bruyne are the first choice central defenders, Rodri and Walker first choice strikers, Grealish and Doku are inverted wingback and wingback respectively. I can see that so Haaland as a centre-back feels like a great choice because he's massive. Absolutely massive. I like the same with Rodri. I like him as he's strong. He's got a good physicality to him. I can definitely see that working very well. I love the idea of Doku as a wing back. Hongdamin's in. Welcome in, my dude. I hope you're doing well. Inter Milan is playing right now, indeed, and I assume they're still 1-0 up. Yes. So Lukmar's in. Welcome. It sucks to say it, but as a Bayern fan, I'm unfortunately feeling a little afraid of the game versus the pharmaceutical company tonight. That's fair. It should be a cracking game, but Bayern versus Bayer is going to be it feels like it should be an exciting game. That said, like the Madrid derby last night, 2-1's a great score. You know, it seems like it's quite enterprising, but there was only one yellow card all game long, and that just feels wrong. That feels very, very wrong for there to be only one card in the game between the Madrids. So Roy's in. Welcome in, my dude. I hope you're doing very well. Lovely to see you in. Zerachul says a few nice games tonight. Wish I had more screens. Just one screen, but all of the games really, really small. Or the Kvez's suggestion is probably a lot better. An ultra-wide monitor. Zerachul's already got one, but FM plus Twitch plus one game is all I can fit. 2 ultra-wide monitors, evidently. Right, at the top of our midfield, we have Roman Esse. Roman Esse and Christian Knockby Klinsen. Now, both of these guys were reasonably recent signings. Klinsen came in last summer for about 5 million euros. Is our highest paid player on 60 grand a week. Esse came in the summer before and has been a key part. Both of them don't necessarily have the most impressive performance here. We can see that they don't seem to be that creative, scoring on relatively low side there. And it's very, very similar looking chart for Klinsen as well. Less creative, similar goal output, slightly safer on the ball. That said, we changed formation during the course of the season to this one with a single advanced playmaker. Previously, we had double attacking midfielders. When we made that change at the end of the season, I think they both performed better. Certainly enough that I'd feel comfortable with them going into the new season. In theory, at least. Roman Esse has interest from Fulham. Fulham are an English club, which means they have lots of money, generally speaking. So he is currently around about the value of his release clause. That is a release clause for clubs in Champions League, of which Fulham aren't. But I do have a feeling that I might want to, or I'm very strongly feeling that we are going to try and cash in on Esse. 20 million euros would be great. Maybe if we can get it up to that 24, that would be even better. But the performance isn't necessarily... I'm happy with them. I was happy with what I saw towards the end of the season. But I think we can get better or cheaper. So I'm thinking that our attacking midfield spot's going to look like that for the time being. And then up front, we have the glorious Ellis Sims, the not quite so glorious Artem Stefanov, and the legend that is Davy Selke. Now, Davy Selke is our starter. Davy Selke is a hero. Davy Selke is everything a man could ever want to be, but he's retiring. So that's not part of the consideration. Stefanov was bought in. He was a bit of a no-risk signing. We signed him on a free transfer from Leverkusen. He hadn't played much. He made a load of substitute appearances for us. Played only 326 minutes. Scored a goal in the cup. And that's about it. Realistically, he is not the backup. Sims needs to be the backup, and we need a starter ahead of him. Alongside him, we've got an advanced forward. And currently, that is Nathan Skitter. Nathan Skitter was bought in as an attacking midfielder, signed from Brest. Was he a free transfer as well, or did we spend money on him? He was a free transfer. 16 goal contributions isn't too bad. Most of the season, or the first half of the season, he was playing as one of those 2 attacking midfielders until we swapped towards the later end of the season. And his performance improved quite a bit when he was pushed up top. I think he is a perfectly serviceable advanced forward for us and a more regular run in that position will do him good. But at the same time, we need reinforcements here. And if we can get reinforcements here, then we wouldn't mind finding a starter. At least that's the hope. So Lukmar says, I think that was partially down to the referee, though. That's fair. That's fair. Koratiba is going to be watching the Mosaic just as many games as possible on a screen. So Hungdamin says Sessegnon was underwhelming. As I say, I thought that SA did quite well in the later half of the season, and obviously was a big part of our promotion campaign. But yeah, he's not a £20 million player. So if we can get, €20 million player. So if we can get that, we're definitely accepting it. Scoring what? Like 12 goals a season makes one a legend at this club. Absolutely. There's going to be a lot of legends in the future of Darmstadt 98. Now, let's be fair with Davy Selke here now. Davy Selke has played 44 games for us, scored 23 goals. So over 0.5 goals per game. Considering this season as well was marred by a couple of injuries. Was he just out for 2 weeks? He wasn't out for just 2 weeks. Okay. I swear he was out for much longer than that. But yeah, he came in, he scored 13 goals in 16 games in the Zweite Bundesliga, firing us to promotion. And I think that is worth celebrating. I'm not going to accept any Davy Selke slander here. Any Davy Selke slander. So we do have a couple of other players in here that we haven't talked about. Dustin Forkel is a winger who's been a bit rubbish. He's transfer listed. We hope to get him moved on. Keenan Davis came in because Ellis Sims broke his leg. He was just in to come as a backup, and he then broke something. Broke his hip, a hip injury. So yeah, he didn't even do the backup job for us really. We're not looking to keep him past his loan. Tom Uda is a young attacking midfielder / striker who looks like he could be a decent player here. Reasonable pace, good balance, he can pass, he can't dribble, which is my big concern there. He doesn't do long shots either, which, if I'm imagining a false nine, I'm expecting someone who drops deep, runs with the ball, and occasionally pings one in from distance. I reckon he's a false nine. I'm not sure who he is, that player. So he looks like he could be a really, really good prospect eventually. But now, I want him getting game time out on loan. So that's going to be the main element there. Benjamin Bernch has been in and around the team since we've taken over. So he's got a couple of starts back in our first season. Got a small handful of starts and some substitute appearances the second season. And fewer appearances this time round. Now, you were asking about... sorry, let me pop there. So, Cat Dog, if you're still in, you were asking about personality. Now, Benjamin Bernch here is unambitious. And there is going to be the question about whether he's going to improve much. Because there are still a lot of gaps to his game. He's quite good when it comes to passing. He can't dribble. He can't really help us defensively. So it's not necessarily going to fit in particularly well. We're going to look to send him out on loan as well, hopefully. So our plans there don't involve him being around the first team squad. And then we've got Sebastian Tubeck. Sebastian Tubeck was signed for 2 million a couple of seasons ago. His problem has been, despite looking like a good player, he just can't win his headers. He's got a €4.9 million release clause. We've transfer listed him, and we hope that we're going to be able to get that, although there's no interest in him currently. So yeah, that's where we're at. Nope, that's the wrong screen. We have some players being scouted, which, hopefully there are going to be some options here amongst the strikers. Ladislav Almasi is obviously a key name at the moment. Sidney Van Hooijdonk possibly as well. So these are both candidates for that target forward position. Nick Waltemada as well, potentially. Paulo Grassa, we don't have much information on him at the moment, but I've got hope that he might be an option as the advanced forward. So seems to be at quite a reasonable price. I think he might have came up in the next gen list. So that's where we found him there. Quite possibly an option there. K. Norman Burder. Right, K. Norman Burder I'm not looking at as a starter for us. Do we look to hoard another young striker? So we could then potentially have Sternbringer and Burder as possible young options. Now he likes to come deep to get the ball. He's really, really quick. He's got an active relegation release fee of 2.3 million euros. And that feels like a good enough reason to try and pull the trigger there. So let's have a look. What level do they reckon he's at currently? Doesn't even say there. Does it say like current? So they reckon he's about a 3-star player. They reckon that as a attacking midfielder, right, he'd be our second best. We've got to do it this way, don't we? Striker. He would be beneath some of our players already, but he's only 18 and we're looking at him mainly from his potential. So I think he's a player I might pull the trigger on. Let's not commit too much there. He's extremely keen. Would like a long-term contract. I'm happy with that. 11 to 14.5k seems a little bit on the dear side. So let's see if he'll move down. He won't. It's worth a bid. It's worth a bid at the very least. And we'll see what happens during contract negotiations. So between him and Stenbring, we might have some good options. Players that are kind of just on the outskirts of the team. Can play for the second team, but be there in emergencies when we need them. We've got a couple of players here that we're looking at in terms of the attacking midfielders. Keegan Jelicic, he basically took the spot that Nathan Skitter vacated when we signed him last year. 12 goals, 13 assists. In Ligue 2, so it would again be a bit of a step up, but maybe in rotation in that role. I like the look of him. And then we had Sead Haksabanovic. Now he's much more experienced, 31 years old, not quite as good overall, but seems to be kind of quite a smart player. We've still got to see a little bit more about what the scouts come back with. I'm definitely leaning more towards Jelicic, but he's playing at a lower level. Defensive midfielders, Sima Suso is the only player that's currently on our radar, but he's pretty good at everything. Currently at St. Pauli. St. Pauli once again didn't do particularly well in the Zweite Bundesliga, finished in 11th. So I'm hoping that maybe he's going to be quite unhappy and we can get him at a reasonably cheap price, because he looks like quite an exciting player in that regards. However, I think for most of those positions, we're going to wait until the season rolls over properly to see whether there are some better players available. I do need to go over to the wage budget though first for a moment. So only the French could call a club Brest. I mean, it's a great name, isn't it? I mean, the city is called Brest as well. That is true. But yes, it is very French to even have a city called Brest. Lumi's in. Welcome in, my dude. How are you, sir? Yes, you are indeed seeing a bald man. I've removed the wig finally. No, we want old target striker, Cesarachul, above 33 and 6 feet. Well, Ladislav Almasi isn't that far off. He's not above 33, but he's 31. The idea of a player who has spent the entirety of his career in the Slovakia and in Czechia, making a move to the Bundesliga at age 31, I think is quite fun. Fun might be pushing it a little bit, but certainly would fit the bill as far as I'm concerned. Now, I did say I wanted to talk about wage budget. So we currently spend just under 600 euros a week. We've got this big transfer budget of 30 million euros. I'm going to be moving quite a bit of that over to the wage budget. I think realistically, let me show you the thing that makes sense here. Let's pop on over to team detail. Let's salary per annum. We have the lowest wage budget by far, 10 million euros less than any other team in the division. I think it's probably reasonable that we look to push that up, especially as we're going to be competing in Europe as well. Now, we're not talking about, we finished 7th, so let's spend 70 million euros a year on our wages. But we should probably be looking to push that up. I would say our average 600k per week is on average around 24k per week for a 25-man squad. Let's move that up. Let's move that up by about 6k. So let's move it up by 25% to an average of 30k per week, or that would be 750k overall. So I think that's a reasonable increase for the level that we're looking to be in now without overcommitting. I expect that we're probably going to regress a little bit next season. I don't think Europe's going to be on the cards, especially if we're competing in multiple competitions. And teams are starting to adjust to, they might have a little bit more respect for us. They might set up a little differently. So I think that's that's annoying. Let's not change it right now anyway. Let's go and do these negotiations first. We'll do it with the one that we're not sure on. Wants to come in as a squad player already. I'm not sure about that. The game is, though. Impact sub would be more what I'd be expecting. Something along those lines. Right, 12. There you go. So that's where we can adjust the budget here. We would need to do it already at this point. Let's move that up to 738,000 then. We're saying no to all of those. I'm quite happy with a 41 million euro release there. Let's drop that down to 5%. And that down to 9.5. It's quite a leap. Let's try 12.5. He's a very, very patient agent, so I'm fine with that. We can keep on pushing it a little bit. 13,750. Oh, come on. 14.5. Imagine this is going to be the last time they will accept a negotiation and they'll start to put out ultimatums. Or not. Yeah, I don't mind that too much. I don't mind that too much. And then McNulty. He wants to be a squad player. Exactly what we're looking for. 30k. That's what we're considering to be the average. So we'd want him below that. Let's try and get the minimum fee release clause. Double what we paid. Down around that 24 mark. Will it take an extra year? Will take an extra year. Again, very patient agent. Not willing to budge at all though. 29.5. Do us under 30k. Oh, come on. Right, 30k, bang on the average. I think we should be all right with that. We've got players well underneath our average, so that should work out quite nicely. So Silver's in. Welcome in, my dude. You just came to say hola and got Bald Musterman. You did get Bald Musterman. Oh, Rex is in as well. How you doing, my dude? Lovely to see you. And FMGNG. Everyone's in. Lovely to see you, my guys. How's your week been so far? How's everything going? The Quez asks, is it possible to be target striker without being old? Now, I mean, we have talked about this, haven't we? Is that there is a certain element that you need to have that experience to be able to be like an effective target striker, knowing how to use your body, to have that strength, to have that nous, to to facilitate for others. There is probably an element of you need to be a little bit old to be an effective target striker. Right, bonuses paid out. Leeds United have come in for Kai Norman Burder, so I assume that's off. Rashidi wins the rookie award. I mean, we'll congratulate him. We're still looking to sell him, but there we go. Rosa claims manager of the year. Bugger off. So, Marco Rosa took over Dortmund this season. And they finished second. So he took over the reigning champions and didn't defend the title and won manager of the year. That is a nonsense. That is absolute nonsense. We'll skip through all of that. So that's cool. Lorenzo Luca is kind of doing it. Fair point. But there were always exceptions that prove the rule. So Cortiba says it's 2-0 to Inter. Lautaro scored. Good on him. Good on him. Like, Lautaro is one of those players who, whenever I watch Inter play, he's rubbish. Whenever I don't watch him play, he scores. Oh, Davy Selker's record man of the matches has been beaten. Staff signing new deals, that's fine. So Lugmar's redeemed a mystery minigame. Shall we head on over? Right, let's do that. Imagine to narrowly lose the title race to Bayern with Dortmund. Such an unrealistic achievement. Indeed, exactly. Right. So, because I'm streaming every day this week, I'm not preparing minigames because I just don't have the time to then prepare in between them. But we do have something potentially a little bit different that we can do that can involve everyone, and we will count these towards the points, and I will explain that a little bit more in a moment. But let's head on over. Play a round of online football bingo. Now, I'm not going to actually play the game. We can do this online one, which means that we'll give you a room code and everyone plays the game, or everyone who wants to play plays the game together, and whoever scores the most points wins, which is really, really cool. I'll show you very, very quickly how it works. This isn't us playing, this is just looking at the game that's already in. Everybody will get a unique bingo card. So they will have various things like clubs in there, or specific records, or countries, or played for a country and a club. And then you receive a list of 42 players, one after another. You've got to decide where that player belongs. Now, I'm going to miss out the time here as I'm talking, but you can see you get a timer, and we've got Andre Silva who's come up, and you might say he's Portuguese, so you'll click on Portuguese there. Then we've got Alexandre Lacazette. Now, did Lacazette play for Dortmund at any point? I don't feel like he did. Oh, I've run out of time anyway. And we've got Patrick Schick. Does Patrick Schick fit any of these? Did they win the... I'm not sure he did. I don't know that. Yeah. Højbjerg won a ton. And basically you keep on running through. I'm just going to click these really, keep on clicking these until we get through. And there we go. Eventually you'll get to the end. If you get a bingo, if you get them all right, then that's brilliant. You can skip as well, players. So let's say Sadio Mane doesn't meet any of these criteria, you can skip. So you don't have to play as a player just because they've come up. So the way it works is we're going to get a code, I believe. So let's go with new group game. Don't use fake names. Am I being stupid here? So we're going to go with global. So that's going to be all types of players there. Ignore that room code. Let me put my name in properly. MustermannFM. Global. So if people want to come in and join the game, there's a lovely link that I've popped in the chat there. It's going to be like, I think generally speaking, it takes about a minute, maybe 2 minutes for a round. And what we'll do is the person that finishes top will get 5 points. The person that finishes second will get 4. 3, 2, and 1. So this is all going to go towards the points tallies as we go. Something a little bit easier, a little bit fun, more interactive as well, hopefully. Fuck yes, says Bill Houdini. Hello, sir. Welcome in. What an introduction. What an introduction. Silver, unfortunately, however, is off. Good night, my dude. I don't blame you. It is very, very late there. So yeah, you can either head on over to play football games and select football bingo, and then pop in the room code 0NEY9, or just pop that link, click on that link that is now in the chat currently. Can I pin it from here? I can. Let's do that there until I unpin it there. And so what we'll do is we'll keep on going. We'll wait until see if there's anyone else that wants to come and join. We'll give it like another minute or so, and then we'll head into the game. Now, you obviously all get to see what I'm playing, but what I'll probably do is I'll probably take the full allotted time with the first few, so you guys are ahead of me. We all receive the same players, but we get different bingo cards. So you might find that you get bad luck, and you don't know what the players are going to be in the order they turn up. So you might use a player on one thing, but actually you should have used them on another. You won't know. So it can be a little frustrating. But what's a good game if not a little frustrating? So yeah, let's just give it a couple more moments, and then we'll head on in. I was looking at the time on the stream there, so we give it about 20 more seconds, and then we'll head on in. Yeah, should be good. And obviously, once we've played the game, let us know how you feel about it, whether you want to do more of this or not. Could be something that we incorporate regularly, even when I do the preps of the other more regular games as well. So cool. Right, we're going to click start. So in a moment on your screens, it should be giving you the countdown now, and we're going to then head in. So game starts in 2, 1, go. First up, we've got Nicky Butt. Now, I can't see anything immediately obvious. Did he play with Cristiano Ronaldo? He might have done, to be fair. Jack Grealish, not a Monaco, not Italian, not there, not managed by Benitez. Didn't play with that. Does play at Man City, though. You're going with Man City there. Rafinha. Now. Hasn't played for Milan, I don't think. Probably might have had some of these. Wesley Sneijder, however, definitely played for Netherlands. Is there anything else that he could be a good option there? I'm going to go with Netherlands. Marko Arnautovic. Oh, Marko Arnautovic has played for every team that has ever existed. But I'm sure I'd get it wrong, so I'll let that run. Jordi Alba. I can't remember where he was signed from, so I'm going to let that one pass as well. Denzel Dumfries. He's played for Inter. He would have been Dutch as well. I don't know if he's won any of those. The Europa League winner and UEFA Cup winner is going to be tricky. Stefan Ortega would have been a Man City option. But again, we're going to let that pass. There's still plenty of players left to go there. No need to panic yet. Carlos Tevez. Okay, maybe I'm starting to panic. Might have played in USA, to be fair. Maxwell. See, my football knowledge is being shown up on a regular basis right now. Nabil Fekir. Come on, Betis. Betis is about the only thing I know about Fekir. Was he at Monaco? Let's go with Monaco. John Duran is Colombian. I definitely know that one. Alessandro Buongiorno. I feel confident with Italian as well. Has Cristiano Ronaldo played with Cristiano Ronaldo? Must have won the Golden Boot at some point. Luca Toni. We're going to pass on Luca Toni as well. Julian Draxler. We're going to pass. I'm passing on a lot of these here. David Ospina was at Arsenal. I know that one with some confidence. Radu Dragusin. I don't know if he's played any of these. Skip on that. Harry Kane. We'll skip on that one as well. Axel Disasi. I'm not got a good feeling on Disassi there or Antonio Silva. So memo to self, skip more players next time. Fair enough. Bill's currently in second. Marvellous stuff. How far behind am I on everyone? Did Alexandro... I'm skipping there as well. Maicon. Going for that. Guido Rodriguez. Guido surely played in the MLS at some point. Dennis Irwin. Dennis Irwin surely doesn't count for any of those. Was John Carew at Sevilla? He's played for a couple of Spanish clubs. I'm going to skip again. Thomas Partey. He came from Sevilla, right? Milenkovic Savic. Was he managed by Benitez potentially? Maybe won the UEFA Cup. No, too late for the UEFA Cup. Could have won the Europa League though. Vicario. We're passing on that. Etu played for the Milans, I'm pretty certain. Lauren. Gonna skip there. Mark Gay. Definitely none of those. David Seaman. Gonna skip on that one as well. Gavi. I'm not liking these options coming through. Xavi Alonso. Hakim Çalhanoğlu. Eek. Still not having a great time here. Keenan Yildiz, I don't think will have marked any of them. Mark Hughes, did he ever win the UEFA Cup? Can't think of him winning the UEFA Cup. Miroslav Klose, I feel like he could have won the UEFA Cup. Let's go with that. Correa, was he at Juve? Okay, we're passing that as well. Pires is definitely French. Dimitri Payet. Yeah, let's say he won the Europa League. Kluivert with Ronaldo. Andre Silva with Ronaldo. Sorloth and Ronaldo. Delict and... No, I think Ronaldo had left. Let's go with it anyway. Let's see how that went out. So, Coatiba, I could have done better. Shake my head. Sliding down the table, says Bam Bam. Look at that. Look at how bad I did there. I came 7th. So that is... So, wait a second. Coatiba, I could have done better. Shake my head. Coatiba with the win. Absolutely incredible there. 2 minutes and 5 seconds. I took 4 minutes. I was that far behind you all. I'm so sorry. Oh my word. So Coatiba, top spot, 39 points. I think it's 3 points for a correct answer. There's 16 there, so 13 out of 16. Marvellous work there. And then came Bill Houdini in second with 12 correct. Blue Lions and Mohammed, 3rd, 4th. Kluivert, 5th there as well. All getting 10 correct answers. Marvellous stuff. Marvellous stuff. So, in terms of leaderboard and stuff, I would love to know who Mohammed is, who Kluivert 11 is as well, if you feel comfortable letting us know. No obligation to whatsoever. Zerachul, I'm shocked to see you down there. I am genuinely shocked to see you down there. And the medical car went for speed over precision. It's a risk, but now we've played it. Now we've played it. You'll be familiar for the next time, indeed. So Tyke is Kluivert. Marvellous. Points should go to beautiful stuff. Lukmar is actually Coatiba. It's just a typo. I believe you. I believe you 100%. Why would you lie? Zerachul votes for the old mini games. Understandable. Bam Bam says, as my wife says, faster is not always better. I mean, it's a risk that things that but you say faster isn't better, but like a roller coaster, if you were to spread the joy of a roller coaster over a longer period of time, it would be less joy. If you were to try and maintain that same level of excitement over a longer period of time, that's a recipe for a heart attack. So sometimes finishing quickly is vital. It's not even useful. It's just vital. So Inter just missed a penalty. Who took the penalty? Please say it was Lautaro after I said that he always has bad games when I watch him. It makes me feel better if he has a bad game when I'm not watching. Although he has scored, so it's been an okay game. Zielinski, fair enough. Right, we've got Garcia McNulty in. That brings us more depth in our defence, which is marvellous. GG Coatiba indeed, Bill. Just one answer difference between the two of you. Right, Serachal, same, going for speed. It's a reasonable choice. It's a reasonable choice. You didn't know. Well, Adam is in. Welcome in, my dude. How are you, sir? I hope you're doing well. How is the tooth? And Traction is in as well. Lovely to see you. Oh, pardon me. Lovely to see you both. I hope, obviously, Adam, Traction, that is. I hope everything is going well. Obviously, a very, very difficult time, but it does seem like there's a lot of love, a lot of support there. If you ever need it, do feel free to reach out, my dude. I hope everything is going as well as it possibly can. Right, we're looking here through. We are not going to keep Max Vent. Contract for the director of football's done nothing wrong, so we might as well extend him here. 10.5. Yeah, we're okay with that. Goalkeeping coach, we are going to let him go. Loan manager, that's up to the director of football to sort out. Performance analyst, I want to see whether we've got anyone in particular that meets our a cautious 4-2-3-1. Dietrich can leave, so we're going to need a head performance analyst. Alexander Hahn. An attacking 4-4-2. We do have 2 strikers. That's something. Or an adventurous 4-4-2. What's his career been before us? So he's been a head performance analyst before. Yeah, let's keep him around. Let's say $4,000. 4.1. 4.1. That's fine there. Everyone else, I think. Oh, Emil Novak. He's a cautious 4-4-2. Plus, he looks very angry. We'll let him leave as well. But everyone else is sorted out by our director of football, technical director, those kind of people, so we can leave that. Oh, technical director. He's been with us for a very, very long time, so we're definitely going to keep him around. It would feel a bit wrong to get rid of him for no particular reason. Egayate, no potential, he can be released. So that should be okay there. So El Norby's here. Welcome in, my dude. How are you, sir? Lovely to see you. Oh, okay. We've got an ad break coming up. So I'm going to nip off whilst this ad break's on. I'm going to see you guys in about 3 minutes. Right, and we're back. We are back. Okay, let's see there. Why is Jason Statham doing Musterman streams tonight? Definitely not the build of Jason Statham, that's for sure. So Adam says his tooth is manageable but annoying, drowning my sorrows with milk. I mean, milk is good though. Milk is the nectar of the gods. Maybe not, but it is not that good, but certainly quite good. I can imagine that being quite soothing as well. Could be worse, Zeratul. I'll let you know when I think of something. That's fair. As Zeratul says, your pain is always the worst. It's me, myself, then maybe you, then me again. I mean, any pain is naturally the end of the world, without doubt. Oh, welcome in, Linus, by the way. So Oscar Wilhelmsson, best player in Darmstadt. Oscar Wilhelmsson is a fantastic player. Unfortunately, when we took over Darmstadt in 2028... Yes, January 2028. No, December 2027. He had a minimum fee release clause. Interest was already in there, and he wasn't interested in renewing his contract. So someone came in, met that release clause, and off he went to Augsburg, where he's been pretty decent. He's been pretty decent at Augsburg, or he was in his first season at least for them. Let's have a look. So Oscar Wilhelmsson, only 10 goals this season. But the season before, he was very, very good. Only 11 goals. So yeah, we had him up until the end of that season. He helped get us, secure safety. We took over when Darmstadt were in the relegation zone. He was brilliant for us in that last 6 months. And then Augsburg triggered that release clause. He wouldn't even enter contract negotiations with us. And he's been pretty solid for them. Pretty good signing. Oh, what a player indeed. I wonder if he would be interested in coming back. This is why I hate using club colours. Oh, it's so painful to look at. Whoever decided red and green should be a colour combination? It says there that his value is between 13 and 16.5 million, which means he's probably just a little bit too expensive for us to consider bringing back. Right, we've still not got much information on Grasher. I swear we have sent a scout out like 4 or 5 times now. So Norby, the Jazz manager streams concludes. How do you become the Utah Jazz's general manager? Indeed, now that would be fun, wouldn't it? If we could somehow become the Utah Jazz manager in FM24. Sadly not. No, we are applying the principles of jazz to football tactics. That is we provide a foundation and then we allow our players to improvise. We allow them to create. We give them freedom to star in their own right. So it's all about very, very little tactical input, allowing players with their traits to define how the tactic works. So we've taken over at Trento, as voted for by chat, and we'll be back doing it tomorrow. So during the daytimes, we'll try and do this probably for the next couple of weeks at least anyway. It's during the daytimes on Tuesday and Thursday. We'll be over in Trento. And then in the evenings on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we'll be back with Darmstadt. So we end up with for those that can only make evening streams, it means that we're not carrying on with Darmstadt during the daytime and that you end up constantly being behind. So I'm always keen not to disturb that like flow as much as we can. Right, Andrus Nemeth is currently on loan at Paderborn. He managed 5 goals in 30 games this season. They played him as a striker. He is going to be sold when he comes back. If we can get a buyer, that is. Right, Hamburg wants Brooks. That's you can bid for him. I mean, why on earth he'd want to join you, I have no idea. Jelicic, named as player of the season for League 2. That's a pretty good sign. Currently valued between 5.6 and 9.2 potentially. Let's send a scout back out to see him again. Al Massi wins top award for top goal scorer, 24 goals in 29 games. Pretty impressive. Can we speak to his agent? No. So we spoke to his agent in January, and he just signed a new contract. So he wasn't interested in joining. But we do feel like,
give it 6 months. We might well be able to bring him in. We'll just need to see. I have good night, folks, pinned. I do indeed. That's not the one I meant to pin. Unpin this message. Thank you very much. Professional streamer. Professional streamer. I know what I'm doing. Thank you very much, Rich. Yeah, so we're going to give it a little bit more time. I think the Premier League transfer window opens around the 9th, somewhere around that. Same with France as well. So that's kind of going to be around the time. And Berda's looking to stay at Cologne. Interesting. That wasn't what I was expecting. I expected him to go to Leeds, but the fact that he's not coming to us means that it looks like we've probably missed on him. But he's not a priority for us. So let's just check leagues in focus. We'll do England Premier League rules. Transfer window for next season opens on the 11th of June. Free transfers from the 9th of June. So around that time, we should be able to get some bids for SA. Oh, it's not saying that they won't bid because of the transfer window. Right, let's do this. We're going to upset him. That's fine. I guess we're going for 20.5 million if we can have it. We're going to upset him anyway by transfer listing him. But no need to push it. Generally speaking, I've not had much joy with getting people to bite when we've pushed above what the player's happy with. So we'll run with that. Yep, there we go. Berda decides to stay. Do we find out? He's got a minimum release clause now of 9.5 million euros. So something we might come back and revisit. Maybe after he's had another season with them. And he's developed more, he might still be a very, very good option at that value. He feels that FC Cologne squad is stronger than ours. That's a take. That is definitely an opinion. Oh, I wonder if we don't need a new goalkeeper. Jonas Urbig isn't starting now. He's 26. He's just been relegated. But yeah, we haven't got like the greatest war chest out there. So let's stop trying to buy players that aren't necessarily a priority. Hove claims player of the year. That's another good sign. He's already agreed to come, so that's good. Staff members signed. Beautiful stuff. So we transfer listed SA. Fulham and Norwich are interested, which is cool. Get bids in for 21 million. Perfect. So that's going to help our war chest a bit. Plus that means that maybe we can then make the bid on Keegan Jelicic. I like the look of Jelicic. I think he seems like quite an interesting player. Maybe we hold out. I like the look of Jelicic, but maybe once the season ticks over, there'll be someone better who'll be interested in buying. Right, so Fulham is his preferred option. So let's try and push that up. 22 with Norwich. $22.5 for Fulham. I'm scared that if we keep on pushing it up, they'll back out. So yeah, he wants to go to Fulham. That's fine. We set him to surplus to requirements now. Nathan Skitter came third for the Finnish Player of the Year. That's not bad. Although to a player in Cyprus, 26 goals isn't shabby, is it? Even if it is in Cyprus. He's been tearing it up over there. 161 goals and 411 appearances as an attacking midfielder. Good on him. Good on him. Yeah, so what's the latest with the Inter game, by the way? we've got the rest should be kicking off shortly as well, shouldn't they? So what games are people looking forward to tonight? We've got as Lukmar mentioned earlier, we've got the Bayer versus Bayern game, which should be an absolute cracker. There's the PSG Liverpool game as well. That's got to be. I mean, is it as exciting now that PSG, have started to move away from their failed Galactico era? Does it feel like it's as much of a challenge? Zerachel says probably going to go with the PSG game. Obviously Bill's going to go with the Liverpool game, PSG Liverpool one as well. M. Dorino says hopefully PSG will make it tonight. Do you think they've got a chance? Do you think they've got a chance? I mean, it's feels to me on paper that Liverpool should win that one reasonably. Then again, Liverpool haven't been playing well, have they? They've been getting the results, but they haven't looked at their best, I think would be the best way of saying it. It's not that they've played bad, just not as well as we know that they can play. Yeah, some money stuff. No, that's particularly interesting. New scouting budget. So 455k. We could go to the world, but let's just extend to Europe. Give us a little bit wider to look at. Are there any English teams interested in our other players? None of them are interested in Tubek. How about Rashidi? So Norwich are interested in Rashidi. The rest of the clubs aren't particularly. But if Norwich bid, those other clubs are likely to. Let's see what the feeling is. Let's put the feelers out there. Oh, loads of teams are willing to bid. Cool. Might be able to get a bidding war going as well then if we've got lots and lots of teams interested there. Both German teams, so we will wait a little bit longer for Mbamba. Actually, what harm is there? We might as well offer out, see what happens. Right, they're willing to bid. There was no need for me to be patient, really, was there? Garrido, there's interest there. Again, quite a few teams, so maybe we can get a bit more than the 3 million. Dustin Forkel, just Braunschweig interested. Not enough to bid. Tubek as well. No interest in him at this current moment, which is fine. That's kind of what we expected. Let me just move Nemeth up to the senior squad so that I see him in my squad once he does come back from his loan. So, Emdorino, as a French Parisian, you hope. Fair enough. I mean, you say you hope. Do you feel confident? I suppose is the ultimate question. Right, we're starting to get a bit more knowledge on Grasser here. So, his ability has been assessed. We know his attributes now. We know some of his pros and cons. We don't know things like injury proneness, so we will carry on scouting. But we have a look here. He's a mercenary. So he's probably not going to represent good value for us, but he does have elite pace, elite composure, both good things. He's okay in the air, got good jumping, good strength, good balance, good heading, lacks bravery. That's a slight concern. Long shots isn't a concern though. So in terms of his attacking output, generally quite good there. Not being particularly impressive for Braga. I mean, they say that 10 goals in 1,000 minutes is sensational. But it's going to be another week. I feel like Grasser could be a good option, depending on what he wants wage-wise. Do we have any indication? No, they haven't spoken to his agent yet. Let's pop back into the reports. Absolutely no ideas on wages, unfortunately, at the moment. I need to update that page. From an analyst perspective, that's all kind of stuff we've seen before. Like key passes. How is his goals per 90? So his goals per 90 is like... Right, okay, no, that is a point. So 6 of those goals have come in the Conference League. Just 1 goal in the league. Now that 1 goal is 1 goal for every 303 minutes. He's only played the equivalent of 3 games in the league. So something to be mindful of. He's not really got senior team experience, but he does look like he could be quite good. So I will definitely wait for a bit more of that scout report before we take the plunge. And that said, though, if we'll look at those bids for Rashidi, we might make the plunge on Pazarek. So El Norby is waiting for the Szoboszlai magic. That's fair. That's fair. He's been whilst the rest of Liverpool has struggled a little bit in terms of against their expectations, as I was saying a little bit earlier, Szoboszlai's been in a pretty decent patch of form recently, from what I understand. Right, he most wants to speak to Bordeaux. So let's try and push up with these second division teams first. They say no on 3.5. Malaga say yes on 3.5. Let's accept that for the time being. Nantes up to 4. 4's good. If he wants to join Bordeaux, he'll join Nantes. Let's push up to 4.5 here, even if they then withdraw. Yep, they've failed to meet what I need. Malaga are below as well. So we'll wait to continue, and then we'll offer out again at 4 million. Hertha are coming with 5 million from Bamba. No one else is bidding, so I'm not going to risk that. We have got bids coming in here for Rashidi. He wants to speak to 1, 2, 3, 4. He's happy to speak to any of them. So I expect Norwich will have the most money, being in England. The rest are Division 2 teams. So let's start with Bochum. Let's try 5.5. They say no. Let's try Magdeburg at 5.5. I'm basically just going to keep on pushing it up. If no one wants to buy at 5.5, that's fine. We'll then go to Norwich and we'll accept 5. Okay, Hanover's gone up to 5.5. That's cool. What are the bids left? We've got Holston Kiel. Let's push it to 6. They say yes. Interesting. Let's go to Mulder first. 6.5. They say no. Norwich say yes. Okay, marvellous. So we'll reject these other ones. Let's again make sure we do the whole agreed playing time on these guys. More things to discourage them. Surplus to requirements, surplus to requirements. 6.5. We struggled to get. We tried to sell Rashidi a couple of years ago. Struggled to get 3 million. So I'm kind of quite content with that situation. Right, let's go back to those guys. Garrido, we've got a bid for 4 million. So we will offer him out of 4 million. And then Rashidi, we've got a bid for 6.5. So we'll now offer him out for that 6.5. Hopefully we'll get some extra biters on there as well. El Norby says that the tags include Serie C and Jazz Football. Well spotted, sir. Thank you very much. Let's get them. This is going to be the struggle, isn't it? I'm going to forget to update the tags on a daily basis. So yeah, let's get that sorted out. Bundesliga, SV Darmstadt. Beautiful. Thank you very much. That's updated now. Right, one more bid for 4 million. We'll reject the other ones. Keegan Jelicic, we're up to reasonable knowledge now. Let's push that a little further. So the guy that I like is Luka Pazarek. If we can get him for, say, 5 million, that's considerably less than what we're... that's 1.5 million less than we're selling Rashidi for. We only get 60% of transfer revenue, so that's not necessarily that great, but not awful. Is there not an agent? There is no agent, so we are going into this a little bit blind. Right. Between 5 and 8.5 is 8 million, so 4.5 is the midpoint. So 4.5 is the midpoint. Let's go with 3. Feel like that's a reasonable... I think that's reasonable. Well, we'll find out, won't we? Okay, so from 3 up to 6.5. Let's do 4. Right, we said under 5, didn't we? We said under 5. Herlock Shomes, welcome in, my dude. Lovely to see you, my man. I hope you're doing very well. Welcome in. How's your week been so far? 4.5. That seems... Oh, come on. 4.6. We offer you an extra 100,000. Yeah, I figured. We want an extra 900,000. Here's barely 100,000 more. Yeah, that's fine. Should be. I feel like that's a reasonable. So if from 6 million we get 60% of that, that's 3.6 million. We are spending 1 million more than that, but we've still made that 6 million euros. It's just the board being funky with their or being stingy with their revenue. So we're still making a profit through that deal. A regular starter. That's what we intend to bring him in as. If we could get him down to 24 minimum fee release clause. If we've just spent 4.5, we'd want at least. As a regular starter, I think triple is fair. So triple what we've spent. Actually 4.6, that's 13.8. So 13.75 there. Naturally that pushes that up, which is fine. Can we get him back to what he wanted originally? He won't take 4 years. 28. 28, so that's pretty decent. So that means that we would have Pazarek on 28. We'd have Guy on 26.5. That's a total of 54.5 between the two of them. So generally speaking, that's the two of them are less than our average for the position for the team as well. I think that's all right. Chark is in. Welcome in, my dude. Do you think it makes sense to switch to your skin like in second season? I'm with Ibiza in 4th tier of Spain and was 2 points away from promo playoffs first season sadly. Well, I mean, I think that it makes sense to switch to the skin if that's the approach you want to take. I don't think if you're feeling uncertain about it, or maybe you're not actually wanting to make that jump. You like the idea of it more than feel ready to do so. I would generally say is don't force it if it doesn't feel right for you. But if you think that it's right for you, then it is absolutely worth it. You can switch to the skin before the season turns over. You could do it from the start. You can do it whenever you like. So by the way, says El Norby, after 3 days in charge, we beat the first place Puskas Academy at home 2-1 with the new manager. How about that? All it took was a little change of manager and you're finally back in the right direction. So Johnson says, I don't know if this is just me, but I always get rid of the appearance fee. and unused sub fee and increase the wage a bit. If you calculate it, you actually spend less money that way. I don't doubt that at all. I know that ultimately the way I look at it is that those kind of things exist in real contracts. So I'm like, it would make it so much easier in terms of working out the actual impact over the course of the season if it was just a flat wage. Here you go, here's a wage, let's get rid of all those clauses and all those bonuses and stuff. But it just doesn't feel right to me to do so, if that makes sense. Like, there's nothing wrong with doing it that way, just a personal preference. Right, so SA is going to go to Fulham. He does get 2.3 million as a result because of the sell-on fee. That's not too bad for us. It's pretty healthy profit, really, isn't it, from a free transfer to 22.5 million. Between him and Rocco Vata. Rocco Vata was sold for the same amount, was also signed on a free transfer. I think we'll do well to replicate that again. That's 2 free transfers. Both of them came in from Newcastle, and 45 million euros raised between the two of them. Not too disappointed with that. Not too disappointed with that at all. So we do want to see what the deal is with... Oh, we've lost our scouting on Sejad Haksabanovic. I'm also willing to dismiss that as anyway. I mean, I prefer the look of Jelicic, maybe possibly a Mary as well. Let's actually clear some of these guys off. Let's clear off the guys that we've already got signed. Our bio as well. Sam Willems is a player we were looking at before over in January. We're not currently interested in him at the moment. We sorted out Kozak, we bought in at left wing back into our youth team setup. Hove can come out. Sternbring can come out as well. So our attacking midfield options, we'll keep Elouardi there until we get Pazarek confirmed. No more news on when was he last scouted? We asked him to scout him. Why didn't he? Let's get him scouted again. We want that information a little bit more up to date. Hung Bin, goodbye SA, goodbye indeed. Chark says, did I just see Brian Hine back to Hamburg? Wow, didn't expect that. Indeed, he left us on a free transfer, so he didn't want to sign a new contract. He went to Hamburg. We both got promoted last season, so we both came up from the Zweite Bundesliga. He left us to join Hamburg, despite being a regular starter for us, and he made 2 appearances, one of them as a substitute, as Hamburg finished 12th in the Bundesliga, and we finished 7th. So I don't want to be petty. That's not, it's not reasonable. Players make decisions. Sometimes they regret it. But also, and I can't say this enough, that's what he gets for not trusting in our project. Great from a transfer point of view. Burkhardt, we're not interested in. Bid's gone in for Elouardi. We'll see what happens there. We might need to make a bid just in case. If we don't get feedback on the Pazarek deal soon, we might need to just make that bid, go into negotiations, so that we've got that backup plan there in case. But no need to panic yet. We'll see what happens with that Servette offer to begin with. Under 19 physio, sure. And there we go. Problem solved. Pazarek in for 4.6 million. So going nicely. Selke retires on the 18th. Once Selke retires, we're then going to offer him the job as well. So he has been doing his coaching qualifications, but I don't want to offer him the contract whilst he's still currently a player, because the wage demands will be a little bit higher. Right, Simo Suso. Yeah, 7.5 million feels quite dear for a player in the Zweite Bundesliga. That would make him our second most expensive signing ever. Let's have a look at him from an attribute point of view. Right, so he's not good at heading. He's not got great technique. He's not got good off the ball, but we're looking as a defensive midfielder. So it doesn't really need to have good off the ball or like crossing. I would kind of like good technique. That generally underpins everything you do whilst on the ball. Yeah, I'm not feeling it. I think that's one where we wait and see what happens when the league ticks over. Right, Serbia, Montenegro, Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, North Macedonia, and now all parts of the European Union. Marvellous. So Hein was at Hamburg a few years ago. He was in Hamburg during his youth, to be exact. Well, there we go. John said, I bet he's devastated. He should be. He should hear me saying no, and it's a strike at the heart. Mbamba's gone. Mbamba, Salter, Hertha. That's not the most impressive profit, but it's profit nonetheless. Signed for 1.8 million. Was pretty solid, but not spectacular. Sold for 5 million. I feel okay with that. Although, as we've just said, we haven't necessarily got the replacement in mind just yet. Right, extensive knowledge, medical checked, all of that's there. He is not injury prone. Yeah, I'm possible wage of 20 to 30. Available for under 5 million. Potentially. Braga are looking to raise funds in the transfer market, so we might be able to get him on the cheaper end. Would want a wage. Would want to be considered the most noteworthy players at the club. Not sure about that. Especially, you want to be the most noteworthy and have a minimum fee release clause of under 10 million euros. This might take a lot of negotiating. Let's start by saying, not sure about the playing time there. And then we can look to negotiate the rest elsewhere. Right, if they think that they don't want him much, let's say 850. Let's say percentage of profit at 10% and lock that in. An improved offer will be needed, but they're not going to say anything more. Let's say at 1.1. I think that might be enough to tempt them. Who knows? So what's your target for the upcoming season? So El Norby, from a board perspective, I think they said, let's actually check what the board have said. So this current season, we were expected to avoid relegation. And next season, we're expected to continue to avoid relegation. I think realistically, we're not going to finish in Europe again for a second season in a row. Our reputation will increase. Teams will take us more seriously. I think we'll struggle a little bit more against some of the teams in and around us. We're going to be stretched a little bit thinner with European competition as well. So realistically, somewhere around that halfway point. So we're looking, 9th, 10th, maybe 8th, maybe 11th. I think it's a realistic expectation. Maybe if we get these signings right, we could repeat the European charge, but I don't think that's all that likely. Like potentially 4.3 million for a starter is great, but I feel like we can get him cheaper, so we'll try. 3 would be brilliant. I'd be very happy with 3 million euros. However, that's only the start of it. This contract negotiation might not be quite so easy. So he's incredibly interested. Same with Granada, less with the French teams. So they recommend him to be an important player. Okay, so I'm happy with regular starter to important player there. Let's try and remove it and see what happens. Oh, is there no patience here? So this could be an annoying negotiation. So realistically, if we're looking at a player who's going to be a starter, we're saying 20 million. We're going to say no to the yearly wage rise. I'm happy with all the landmark bonuses there. We'll start at 35. I think I'm happy with around 40 to 45 in terms of wages. I'm quite happy to pay more than what they've asked for because we are looking at a player that I'm thinking is going to be a starter. That's reasonable. Let's try at 40, then 42. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm very happy with that. I think we might have our new starting advance forward, which means that we'd be down to needing just a defensive midfielder and a target forward from this transfer window. God, that's a lot of players we're signing potentially. Right, Rashidi's agreed a deal to join Norwich. 23rd of June there. Garrido is going to join Osasuna. That's 4 million there. All going rather nicely. So Herlock Sholmes wants to look at Leverkusen's tactic as a formation. Any particular reason you want to look at Leverkusen's tactic in 2030 under the management of Sergio Conceição? So they play a 4-4-2 because that's Sergio Conceição's formation there. They've brought back Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz was brilliant against us. They've still got Boniface. Absolutely cracking player. I don't know where Wirtz ended up, but they're still Leverkusen as far as this save is concerned. You know, Bayern Munich continue to dominate the world. They've won the league every season in this save except for last season when Dortmund won it. Very much this Leverkusen team isn't that changed at all, really. Frimpong, Tar, Tapsoba, Teller, Palacios, Adley, Boniface, Hincapi. They have brought in Ruben van Bommel. Francis Onyeka is a reasonably high-profile youngster. Let's have a look at what happened with Wirtz. So, how long ago was he sold? We're probably going to be looking at one of these seasons where there's been big money made. 145 million. It's not that season. They sold Talles Magno for 66 million there. So 82 million rising to 93 million to Liverpool. And since his move to Liverpool, he's hit double figures once for goals scored. Never hit double figures for assists, but generally speaking, pretty decent. Maybe not quite the dizzying heights we would have hoped for, though. So Jiggin Sit, welcome in, my dude. How come you don't negotiate transfers with installments or other appearances add-ons? Generally speaking, because there's no need to. I don't want to... If I've got the money right now, I'd rather use that than take away money that we might potentially have next season. Because if I have it now, I can spend it now. And then next season, my transfer budget isn't brought down because of the commitments that we've already agreed to. Right, so Selke has retired. Let's offer him a staff job. He's happy to come in as an under-19s coach. Perfect. 2.5k extra, 2 years. And he's accepted it. Perfect. Now there is a full coaching team for the under-19s currently. That's all right. If he agrees and everything goes through, we'll just sack one of them. We've lost a physio. No big deal there. We haven't had the article about our games next season yet, have we? So generally... Oh, yeah, it's going to come up soon. That's cool. Right, so Selke's gone. Why do we need to... We're on holiday. We're on holiday. The players are away. We can sort this out in pre-season. Cool. Schmidt to become the captain. we do have a bit of a leadership void there. So Clinton will become the vice. Mousen's it isn't a player that we expect to be sticking around long term, so no point in making hit. He's also never going to be a starter, not like a proper regular starter. He will start games every now and then, but there's no point in giving him the captain's armband, really. Any interest in Tubek yet? We do have interest in Tubek. However, appears to be loan interest, so let's say no to loans, and let's see if we can get a bid. We can't get a bid in quite yet. Let's try via transfer. I'm going to try something cheeky. If I pop a percentage of profit from next sale alongside the minimum fee release clause, will they consider that? Any other players that we're trying to get rid of? It's just Forkel, I think. Still nobody biting on that. We're going to say no to loan. Drop his asking price. Let's go down to 500,000 and see if we can get anything there. So Alba has moved out on loan. That's cool. That should deal with his promise. So we've got the fine loan move. He's happy with that. So that's cool. So Selke is a legend. He is a legend. An absolute star. And soon he's going to start his legendary coaching journey with us now as well. Captain Zeepsin, welcome in. Guten Abend, Herr Mastermann. Wie geht's dir? I'm good, dude. I'm good. Guten Abend. What's night? I know Abend is afternoon. I know Morgen is morning. Will it be Guten Nacht? I'm going with Guten Nacht. I apologise if that's wrong. How are you, Zeep? Lovely to see you, my dude. Come on. That's got to be... Look at that. Bundesliga signing of the season is our goalkeeper. 1.4 million euros on a release clause. That feels pretty good, right? That feels pretty good. We found a goalkeeper, got him in for nice and cheap thanks to a relegation release clause. That bit's fine. And then we had 2 of the 4 runners-up for signing of the season as well. Nathan Skitter, Andre Brooks, both free transfers. Like the other options, Francois Javier Delorge, a Belgian goalkeeper. 45 games, 44 goals conceded. Really, really good season for Leverkusen. Great signing, but cost 35.5 million euros. And then Crescencio Somerville. He cost... Wait a second. 20 games, 6 goals, 6 assists. That feels a little bit underwhelming. A little bit underwhelming indeed. And he came in for 30 million euros. So maybe the reason we have so many people in the signings of the season runners-up is because all the other signings weren't particularly good. Like rule changes, that's fine there. When does that season... So we get the cup, don't we? DFB Pokal starts the week before the league. So if we pop a look here, we can't see the 11th of August. We would expect then that the game's going to be... That's going to be the DFB Pokal first round. So let's use that as an assumption and we will sort out our games now. We'll finish with a game against RW Darmstadt. Nice easy win to allow us just to head into the final part of the season. That'll just be a few days after our last proper game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That will be a game against... Who do we want to test ourselves against? I really like a Dutch team would be good. Someone geographically close. A French team. A Belgian team would be absolutely fine. We did Belgium last year, I seem to recall. Monaco are in that list. So let's go with Monaco. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See if we can find someone in the Zweite Bundesliga. Are SB Waldorf still in the Zweite Bundesliga? They are indeed. Let's have a game against Waldorf. 1, 2, 3. Now just every 4 days. We'll look at smaller teams just to get things. Naturally, we're going to play a game against Worms. We always play a game against Worms when we can. 1, 2, 3, 4. So Shark Alive it is knacked. Beautiful. Thank you for the applause, Zerachel. Mean Wolf is in. Welcome in, my dude. How are you, sir? Lovely to see you. How's your week been? Smaller reputation teams. How about a game against Arminia Bielefeld are too good for that stage of off-season. Offenbach kickers. I assume it's kickers. I know of the Offenbach kickers. It is indeed. Could have been another Offenbach team. I don't know enough about German geography. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the end of that first week, have another game against someone very much nearby. And that team will be FCA Darmstadt. So we start and end with 2 Darmstadt teams. 2 games, just really about fitness more than anything else. How low down are we? Our 7th place makes us the 9,808th greatest manager in the Bundesliga in FM24. Top 9,808th. You're never going to sing that. Beautiful stuff. All those friendlies accepted. Beautiful. So Mean Wolf is good. We lost 2-0 tonight. It's not a shame to lose to Inter. Glad it wasn't 7-1. I mean, it must be. It was Carnival this week, wasn't it? So let's face it. I have a feeling like maybe the PSV players had been out celebrating. They needed, after the loss to Go Ahead Eagles twice in a week, they needed to let off some steam. It was Carnival. They all went out, got absolutely pissed. Maybe was still drunk when they turned up last night. Seems plausible. Seems plausible, right? Best way to explain it. Top 10k statue. Exactly, Zerachel. Right, one of those friendlies has been accepted and cancelled immediately because of a game against Heidenheim. Oh, right, yes, the Zweite Bundesliga starts earlier, doesn't it? Okay, that's fair. Right, there we go. So you were asking what expectations were for this season. They're saying mid-table finish now. That seems about what I expect. That seems reasonable. Would we like to expand the available wage budget for the loan manager position? No. Can we do it for the scouting department? Yeah. We can get more scouts. That means we can build up a larger pool of players to look at their stats. So that would be quite handy. Accept those. That's all fine. Well, they've said yes, but we haven't been given a larger pool of scouts. That's disappointing. Very, very disappointing. So let's have a look at the things here. It was this game in this gap here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can no longer play against teams in the Zweite Bundesliga. So Holstein Kiel are already up. So we're playing, let's play against Chemie Leipzig. The only Leipzig team. The real Leipzig team. Mean Wolf says, nah, you reckon that the players want Bosch out? What do you think's gone wrong for Bosch? I mean, surely something has happened before that. Because they started the season so well. The last month or so has been really, really disappointing. I mean, the whole of 2025, to be fair. So yes, we've got a transfer budget of 30 million, which is quite nice. We do expect some of that to drop in a moment because we have some negotiations, a €3 million negotiation for Paulo Grassa. Is that the only one we've got outstanding? It is the only one we've got outstanding. So now, 4th in the Bundesliga. That means the season is tipped over. Let's see if there are any additional suggestions. We still want a defensive midfielder of some sort. Let's have a look. Defensive midfielder. I'm happy to look at deep line playmaker types. I'm happy to look at ball winning midfielders. Anchors. Halfbacks. Not really going to be looking at registas, roaming playmakers, Segundo Volantes. Don't want, like, a deep line playmaker can still be quite defensive, but the others are a little bit too aggressive, really, in terms of the kind of thing that I'm looking for. Alex Kral as an option. Now the stats have ticked over, obviously, for the season. Now that's the whole element there. So we're a little bit more blind without going back. Kral has been decent. He's played a decent number of games. He's got some flexibility. He's experienced. Good personality. We'll give him a bit of scout. We've got Magassa, who's been playing in the Zweite Bundesliga. Good season last year. In an attacking capacity, though, there, you would say. 6 goals for defensive midfielder is quite a bit. Otherwise, hasn't really had a great time of things. Like, hasn't really stood out prior to that. So we'll see what the deal is there. But I'm not as convinced by Magassa. Right, Captain Zeep had to take in the grocery delivery. I'm good, thanks. GG on Nacht. Yes, I got. That's the extent. I managed to muster a little bit of Spanish earlier as well, whilst in another stream. I was very proud of myself. Mean Wolf says he had that at other clubs. It starts good, and in the second half of the season it goes down at Dortmund, another club from Amsterdam, which name I would rather not mention. That's fair. That's fair. Right, Muramatsu, a 21-year-old. I'm guessing. Right, so these stats, this is in a league that isn't active, so I can't really gain much information from these stats, to be honest. But, you know, a 21-year-old being recommended, already an international for Japan. Where's the number 9? We don't have any information there yet. Let's do some scouting. See what we've got in that regards. We should be adding these guys to a short list as well, so that we can kind of keep track of things. Bajcetic, I'm not interested in. 91 grand a week. We're not going to be able to get him down to anything reasonable. Macho Corrado, 43.5 feels a little bit. If we're saying that we want an average of around 30 grand a week, if we're going to find a player that is starter quality, around that 50 grand area is fine. So maybe we have a look at Matteo Corrado. Now, Italy is active. 85% tackle win rate is very good. Everything else here is a bit shit. So we're not going to look at Matteo Corrado. I doubt we'd be able to get even Morante's wages down. He's not done anything special, really, so that's okay. We'll pass there. Takashi Iwata, another defensive midfielder in Japan. We can't really use this information here. Again, no proper accurate information on his attributes, but there are lots of things that might be elite, so it's worth taking a bit more of a look. Sorry, let's see. 1-0. Kane with a great header. How about that? Marvellous stuff. So Mean Wolf, who is the arch rival of Darmstadt? I mean, whether I'd say they're the arch rival or not, I'm not so sure, but Eintracht Frankfurt. So Darmstadt, if Actually, we can kind of vaguely do it on a map, can't we? We pop to scouting coverage in Germany. That's world knowledge, isn't it? And then we go by nation. If we click... No, I'm wrong there. So, Frankfurt is like here, I think. Is that about right for the Germans in? Frankfurt is about here. And Darmstadt is literally just beneath it. Like, maybe 10 miles or so. I don't know what that is in kilometers. So Frankfurt have got to be the closest geographically. And they do consider it as a derby, the Hessen derby there against Offenbach and Frankfurt. They're called a fierce rival. I don't know how fierce that rivalry is because they've very rarely been in the same division. Eintracht Frankfurt have obviously been a much better team over a long period of time. So, you know, it's how competitive that rivalry is, how much it's actually felt by the fans is questionable. Roots in, good evening, sir. How are you doing, my man? I hope you are well. Mean Wolf, you have two Frankfurts, one at the Polish border. Is there now? Is there a Frankfurt near Poland? I didn't realise that. I didn't realise that at all. Oh, I forgot. So, sorry, we looked at those transfer suggestions. I want big men as well. So we'll look at for deep lying forwards, target forwards, potentially complete forwards as well. They can be big boys. We will look at pressing forwards as well. They can be big boys. They might not be, but they could be. So Inarko Gotti is 5'9", so he's not a big boy. James Few, he's 6 foot, probably a little bit on the short side in terms of that guard. Not particularly prolific, not particularly creative. He scored 1 in 4 at League One level and 1 in 8 at Championship level. I'm not interested in James Few. Douglas, currently playing for Red Bull Bragantino. This isn't an active league again, so we will take that with a pinch of salt. But 8 goals in 18, just under 1 in 2. 26, 18 the seasons before. That's promising. Let's add him to a shortlist. Let's get him scouted. Lasse Nordas, 28 years old, 6'4", left-footed. Currently at Eintracht Frankfurt. So there's the rivalry there. And he has scored 0 goals last season. Only started 1 game. In fact, the only season where he started a handful of games is back in the 25-26 season. We're coming up to the 30-31, so that's 5 years ago. Yeah, but he's very cheap. 2.4 million transfer list. Let's scout him. Might be worth it. Jalal Abdullahi, 22 goals, 29 games in the Eredivisie. That's pretty good. 11 in 25 the season before isn't as good, but he did score 10 in continental competition. Okay, that's reasonably encouraging. Let's give Abdullahi a bit of a scout as well. Then we're removing them as we go. Bailey Kadamatri, 22 goals. I'm guessing that's in the championship. Indeed. 11 the season before. So double figures 4 out of the last 5 seasons. Those 2 seasons look a little bit less impressive. And one of those seasons was in League One. And he's already on 34.5 grand. We'll scout him a bit further, but I'm not feeling hot on Kadamatri, I must confess. Popovic, described as an advanced forward, but he's 6'4", scored 15 goals, just over 1 in 2 for Monza. It was a big money move to Monza, 17 million euros. I can't imagine he's going to be cheap. He is though, he's down at 8 million. Yeah, we'll have a look at him as well. Hope you're well. Thank you, Root. I am. I'm doing all right, sir. I am doing all right. Do you have a good youth intake? We had an okay one. We've only had one decent youth intake since we've been here. It won't show that there, but we're in control, aren't we? So we've got a few players that look like they could be quite promising. We have Phil McCockiner. He's a right winger who looks to me more like a striker. He's got decent pace, decent jumping, kind of decent flair, but he's still a long way off. But there's something quite encouraging about him. He was renamed by one of the viewers. That's why they've got silly names. Same with Barbie Dolman. Now he's a winger that looks like he's going to be a winger. So he's just got good acceleration and pace, good technique, needs to work on his dribbling and crossing. But he's not very good in the final third. So you're doing that's where we're not expecting him to be that great, but not bad. Uwe Bora is unambitious, a deep-lying forward who's brave, good finishing, good movement, good final third. All right player, not necessarily anything. Ivor Biggin is one we're very excited by. So an advanced playmaker, exceptional flair, good natural fitness, but he's already good enough at passing, technique, vision. Needs to improve his dribbling, needs to improve his quickness and his agility and balance. But we've got a lot of hope for Ivor Biggin. And then defensively was anyone. We had Hugh Shafter or Rico Roda. So he's potentially a midfielder. He's really aggressive, good teamwork. Already got good stamina and work rate, good positioning, good bravery. He does need to work on elements like his tackling. Does need to work a little bit on his in-possession stuff as well. But new in, unambitious, might not develop that much, but we hope so. So you ask, why do some of the attribute names have a star next to them? A good question. A good question, which I can answer. These are attributes that aren't trainable. So the way that attributes have been grouped is they are grouped by their training focus. So if we look at final third there, we've got composure, decisions, and flair. And if we hover over here, we see that it trains composure and decisions. Flair is there because it seemed like the most appropriate place for an attribute that wasn't trainable. So where we have flair, aggression, concentration, tackling, natural fitness, determination, leadership, and teamwork are all untrainable attributes through additional focus. So Root says, are you still updating your skin? Was wondering if you could do it for the laptop. So in terms of like any public commitment to updating the skin, no. I am doing various things as and when with the streams. However, what resolution is your laptop? Because the Mustermann Iconic Root is designed to work from 1360 by 768 upwards. So that should work on most laptops. Now, one of the key points was to make sure that it's supported as one singular skin and a lower resolution than most other skins out there work. So it should work at that level. Right, Greavesy's in. Welcome in, my dude. Welcome in. You've been terrible at catching the streams recently. Where did the mighty Darmstadt finish last season? Brace yourself, Greavesy. Brace yourself. Because last season, we qualified for Europe. We qualified for Europe. In our first season in the Bundesliga, it wasn't even close. Look at the gap between us on 60 points and Gladbach on 48. In fact, we can't see past positions, that's a shame. I think when I saw it earlier, we were never lower than 14th. We were never higher than 6th either. But, you know, yeah, it was surprising. Moreover, only Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund lost fewer games than us. We lost only 6 games all season because we did draw 12 games. Yeah, great first season. Oh, because we've done that, I haven't looked through the rest of these guys. They're still there. So we've got Thomas Fanchara at Mainz, 12 goals, 27 games. It's a big signing last year, 11.75 million in the Zweite Bundesliga. That's pretty good. A pretty good goal return from a man who hadn't reached double figures since the save started. Yeah, he's 29 years old. He's only just starting to get some decent form. Yeah, we're going to leave that one. We're going to leave Jonathan Burkhardt as well. We've looked at him previously. Tokla Marty's already on 57,000 euros a week. That might be a bit excessive, especially for a guy scoring 0.35 goals per 90. That's not particularly encouraging. Scored 8 goals the season before. Has spent time in Germany. 9 goals and 25 for Düsseldorf. 14 and 37 for Watford. Not a bad return. I'm not feeling Eden Tokla-Marty, I'm afraid. So we can pass that. But we do have some players there that we are looking at. Scout priorities. We've got there's 4 defensive midfielders, 5 potential strikers. These guys aren't on my list, so let's make sure they're added. We're still waiting for feedback on Jelicic. That's the other position we still need to fill. Yes. Right, let's look at playmaker types in midfield. So we'll look at advanced playmakers. We will look at trequartistas. We will look at Ngonches. Right, Sebastian Walter from Schalke. Hasn't had great output really, but he is young. We do have good knowledge on him already. Lacks consistency. Right, unfortunately, Sebastian Walter might be good, but we're looking for starter. So PSG 1. Paul is getting hammered so far. Oh my. I didn't expect that. A Kvaradonna, what a goal. Oh, it's offside. It's offside. Well, Paul and their luck continues. Please check Hearts FC, asks Oleg. Any particular reason you want us to check Hearts? We don't have, I don't think we have the Scottish Leagues. Yeah, we don't have the Scottish Leagues loaded, so there isn't really any information there, Oleg. We're now in 2030 as well, so it's not going to resemble the squad that the game initially starts with. So Devon DeCourte, United States, 24 years old, 16 goals. We are looking more from the creativity side than the goal scoring side, but you can't knock that. Decent enough in terms of creativity. That said, doesn't lose the ball too often. Reached double figures for goals the last 4 seasons. 5 assists back a couple of seasons ago. Under 10 million euros. Well, definitely worth scouting him at least. Did we add him? We did. Yuri Mackles. Another young Belgian, nowhere near as prolific. In fact, 11 goals in 113 games, considerably less prolific, but much more creative there. 0.34 expected assists is cool. Loses the ball a lot more often. Just not a goal threat whatsoever. Season before, though, 11 goals, 6 assists is quite decent. 3 goals, 7. 5 and 6 when you add the other competitions on. Again, under 10 million, so I think he's worth scouting further. Mohamed Damar at Gladbach has never scored a goal, only played 18 games for them. So let's see. Signed for 11 million. 14 okay. 4 starts, 12 sub appearances, 5 assists is pretty decent. Season before, barely played. Season before at Stuttgart, 3 goals, 4 assists from 7 starts, 11 substitute appearances. 2 and 1 at AZ. AZ, he played quite a bit. When he played quite a bit, actually his output wasn't that incredible, to be fair. Granted, there's been a lot of time that's passed since, but I don't think Demar is a player I'm interested in. So Bill says it felt offside in real time, but then onside on the first replay. I hate them where you're like, oh, that's offside, and then you look at it, you convince yourself it's great, only for it to get chalked off. So Greavesy's done an independent review, and it's definitely an accidental handball. Fair enough, but was it an accidental handball by Kvaradona? Because then it's disallowed regardless. So Kilian Sauk at Braunschweig. Only moved last summer. 6 goals, 5 assists isn't bad, but that is the Weiter Bundesliga. His good season there was for the reserve team, non-league. He's now 23. I don't think we need. Yeah, I'm gonna pass on Sauk. Right, Philippe Ribeiro at Vitória de Guimarães. What on earth was that pronunciation? Vitória de Guimarães. I can't speak today, that's for sure. He's shit. Sorry. Sergio Jacquier, playing in Switzerland. He's been good in Switzerland. 7 goals, 11 assists, 35 games. Played a lot of football. 0.18 expected assist is pretty decent. He is underperforming his XG. He's winning his headers. He's safe on the ball. This is a league we've got loaded. We need to scout him further. Well, I don't think Jacquier is the answer, but especially not at potentially 10.5 million. But we will give him a look. And then we've got Adriano Onyebule, 23 years old, 2 goals, 6 assists. So in the same competition, considerably worse output. That's a no. Going to just see if we've got anything more. Right, we're excluding the 1,000 minutes because it's going to have ticked over for a number of people. We could bring back Elias Saad. We're not going to bring back Elias Saad. Are there any other players that... Legend, a former FM wonder kid, Yusuf Demir perhaps? He's got all the traits. He scored 1 goal, set up 4 last season. Hasn't really panned out for him, has it? Apart from 1 season on loan at Adana Demirspor, 7 assists isn't bad. But again, 4 or 5 seasons ago. Boy Costa's a good name. What's the deal with Boy Costa? He's played only 151 minutes. Oh, actually, so one thing that we can do. Nope, we can't do. In fact, we've got a break coming up, literally just about to come up. So I'm going to go and do my standard refill the drink and go for a vape and stuff. So I'm going to be back in about 3 to 4 minutes. And then I'm going to talk about the one thing that we can do just to kind of help us as we're going through these lists as well. So I'll see you guys in a few moments. Right, and we're back. So, there is one thing that we can do here. Now that the stats have gone for a lot of leagues, we can still filter down by attributes. Now, when playing with this kind of attributeless approach, where instead of knowing the exact ones, we know a range. We know, for example, that Emilio Kera here has agility somewhere between 16 and 20 and has tackling somewhere between 1 and 5. We can still use the attribute filters to search for players. Now, it does ultimately come down to a little bit of self-control, because if we know that we're looking for somebody who's elite at a particular attribute, so for my attacking midfielder, I would like someone who's got elite flair, we can use that as a condition. So we do at least 16. Now, we then don't want to be going up and down. Like, I'm going to cover the screen here because, I can find out things by doing that. I could work out the exact rate, the exact value if I really wanted to. But then if I was going to do that, I'd just change to a normal skin, like off stream, I guess. So, I mean, that's not really anything anyway. But I would like, if we don't have stats to go on, I would like to look for players who are elite when it comes to flair. That's kind of, we've got this playmakery type role that we're looking for. So that kind of helps us a little bit. We could do it with a view instead. I mean, the other way of doing it would be, we take that off and we'd pop in a column just anywhere here, and that way we can see their attribute nice and easily. Let's do that the other way around. So we've got attributes, physical, technical. No, it's a mental one, isn't it? Flair is there, so we could do it that way if we wanted to. Now the problem is if you sort by flair, it is still going to do the numbers. So if I clicked on flair right now, I know that the player at the very top is going to have a higher flair value in that elite range than the player at the bottom whilst in that range, which is why we're going to kind of avoid that. But before we go through those players, see if any of them take our fancy, DM Basis has redeemed a mini game, so why don't we head on over and do that. Now, we shall, let's see, there we go, it's that one there. Let's head on over and let's play one of the other mini games this time round. Let's do a quick round of Missing 11. So a nice simple game. It's exactly the same as what we do on this channel normally, but instead of being something that I've curated, it's going to be something done through the Missing 11 website. And so the way this works is pretty straightforward. You've got a team from some period in history. In this particular situation, we're looking for PSG's 2-0 win against Montpellier in Ligue 1 in 2017. So all you've got to do is guess who these players are in the starting lineup. The numbers on the names here indicates how many letters are in that player's name. So if you want to go ahead, guess the players that we've got it in there, we can work with it. So DM Basis has apologized, saying his presence has been sporadic for a few reasons, but I should be here now. You should never apologize, DM Basis. I'm glad to have you in either way, whether there is other stuff going on, whether you've got other things to focus on, it's all good. Never need to apologize. Gary Miller is in as well. Welcome in, my dude. Lovely to see you. How are you? How's the save? The save is going well. So Marquinhos is Marquinhos. 10 letters. That is too many for a player, unfortunately. Do we have Jeff Badman has gone for Di Maria? Surely that's Di Maria in that right wing spot. It is indeed. Beautiful work there. So Blue Lions, what team is it? It's PSG 2017 2-0 win against Montpellier. So Trap in goal. As a suggestion from Kirill over on YouTube. It is indeed Trap. Beautiful work, sir. Ariola, sadly it can't be. Jeff Badman has gone for Verratti. Verratti is a 8 letter. It is indeed. Jeff is good at this. Not just do you have a great name. I do have to apologise though, you do spell it incorrectly. But he knows his football. Do we have Cavani up front, says DM Basis. We do have Cavani. Just pipping red up to that one. Could we have Jesus Navas? We don't, unfortunately. That's a 5-letter name. So we don't have Navas. Do we have Aurier? Aurier at right back. That's a great shout. Great shout from Zerachal. Pastore as well. I'm guessing on the left here. It's not on there. Is it Pastore further up front? It is indeed. Beautiful work. Beautiful work. It couldn't be Lavezzi, sadly. Is it Matuidi? Matuidi. Matuadi. It is indeed, Kill. Beautiful stuff. Could we have Mora? We can't have Mora, unfortunately. Maxwell at left back. A fabulous guess there, indeed. Thiago Motta. It's not Thiago Motta, it's the other Thiago. Have we got the other Thiago's guess there? Thiago Silva from Bam Bam. I can't spell. There we go. I got there eventually. Kimpembe alongside him. It's Kimpembe. Beautiful stuff. So is it Thiago Motta in midfield? It is Thiago Motta in midfield. There we go. Red up with Thiago Motta. Bam Bam with Thiago Silva. Some beautiful work there. So that was PSG's 2-0 win over Montpellier in Ligue 1 in 2017. Kevin Trapp in goal. A defence of Serge Aurier, Thiago Silva, Presnel, Kimpembe and Maxwell. A midfield of Marco Verratti, Thiago Motta and Blaise Matuidi. And a strike force of Angel Di Maria, Edison Cavani and Javier Pastore. Beautiful work, guys. Beautiful work. You absolutely blazed through that. Marvellous. Right, so let's have a look at these players with flair that we're interested in. Let's just get rid of that view. I don't need that. We don't need to know anything more there. There's still 44, which is brilliant. We're going to exclude players with wages already above 50k. Actually, we're going to exclude them above 60k. Maybe there's a player that's, transfer listed from a Premier League club that'd be willing to take a pay cut to join us. But otherwise, yeah, we want to keep it a little bit on the lower side. And we will kind of exclude transfer values probably above 10 million. We'll ignore Elias Sard. We got rid of him for a reason. Maybe he'd be more suited to us now. We're in a better position, but yeah, I'm not feeling that. Eric Mateka here. Now, we do have some stats for him. He has been playing first team football for FC Volendam, and the season hasn't ticked over in the Netherlands yet. And he was rubbish. So we can ignore Mateka. We looked at Facundo Farias. Last year. He wasn't playing enough for Stoke. So he ended up going on loan to Cruz Azul. 11 goals, 5 assists isn't too bad. From an attribute point of view, great ball control, good technique, good flair. Certainly an interesting player. Work rate down on the low side. You expect that from someone perhaps of his ilk, the type of flair player that we're talking about. They aren't necessarily known for their hard work. Like, Farias might be worth keeping an eye on. He's currently listed as not for sale, but he's out on loan, right? So when does his loan end? Do we know that? His loan ends in 2031, so actually we can ignore that. Ringo Meerveld. We looked at him last season as well. We do still have some information there. 4 goals and 3 assists doesn't sound that good, but he only played 13 games, the equivalent in terms of time on the pitch of just over 11 games. However, he is currently playing in Norway, so that's not that. You'd expect him to be good. Yeah, we're going to pass on Meerveld. Morgan Rogers, 60k. Probable asking price above 20 million. That's a no. Matches Abaldo at RKC Volvic. 6 and 6 isn't the worst, but actually it's not that great. 0.12 expected assists. We'll give a pass there. Sioan, I always assume he's more of a deep player. He is indeed. We're going to pass there. Thomas Muro, currently playing at Velas. 3 goals, 9 assists. I like assists. Assists are good. Now, again, not an active league, so I can't really take the stats on the same way that we look at others, but the fact that he is creating chances is encouraging. He spent some time in Reading earlier on in his career and wasn't particularly good. But then since he's moved back to Argentina, 9 assists, 8 assists, that's encouraging. Now 28. Yeah, let's scout him a little bit further. Maybe. I'm not convinced, but the best so far that we've seen, I feel. Thiago Palacios. 19 games, 1 goal, 5 assists. Again, Argentina. So stats aren't so great. Hasn't not quite as impressive in terms of his assist output, so we're going to pass there. Bilal Yalcinkaya for Hamburg, didn't play. We're going to pass there. Callum O'Hare, I know is injury prone, just because he is in real life. Gabriel Vidovic, currently on loan at Rijeka. So he's played only 6 games whilst on loan. That's a no as well. Diego Toyson, listed as a regista, didn't play. That's not the answer. Zoltan Matai, very much on the fringes for AZ. Is an international. Does have a good set of traits. Has not had the most inspiring assist numbers whilst playing for the reserves or for the youth team. So I'm not convinced with him there either. Fernando Vieira, a regen, good personality, resolute. Played 8 minutes this season. Did spend a loan at Vitória de Setúbal, where he registered 0 assists. Doesn't look good. It's not looking good right now, is it? Mario Thiel was on loan at Gladbach. Or has he just moved on loan there? He has just moved on. He's on a long-term loan. 2 years from the looks of things. So we can ignore that. Ronaldo Dantos Fernandes at Parma. Great hair. Fabulous hair. 7 goals, 4 assists. So the assist is a little bit on the low side for what I generally like. He was a player who only loaded in when we loaded in the Swiss leagues. So he doesn't have much history to go on either there. Doesn't look like the answer there either. Platvert, described as a central midfielder. Not playing for Go Ahead Eagles. Nothing to judge on. Cambiagi, 29-year-old. Probably playing out wide, I'm guessing. 8 goals, 4 assists. Not that sensational. At Gijon. Yeah, he's definitely more of a goal scorer than a creator. Moyano at Fortuna Sittard, also described as a central midfielder. Played some games further up, but 1 assist over the course of the season. We can pass on that as well. Rich says, this is mad. Your mixed team have just beaten United 4-0 in the EFL Cup. That is crazy. That is crazy. It's sensational. Do you think that you've just created such an incredible tactic that any player could work in it? Or is it that the Manchester City players are just so talented that they can withstand even crazy formations? Well, it's not a crazy formation, just crazy team selection. Morley Silla did not play for Villarreal, or barely played. When he was on loan at Espanyol, 4 goals, 4 assists isn't great. Yeah, nothing special there. At Nieuwenhuis, a fringe player for Almere in the Eerste Divisie. Now, whilst he was playing non-league, he was okay, but yeah,
I think we're just going to be doing a lot of this. A lot of saying, no, not him, not him, not him. Ricardo De Luca is described as a deep-lying forward, but was playing as an attacking midfielder. Only 529 minutes. When he played for Dinamo Bucharest, 6 goals, 5 assists, started 23 games. That's not that bad, just not necessarily that good. Delart played 18 minutes. Ibrahim Maza. He's had some good performances for the youth teams. Not necessarily the answer. That's the problem. It's like we're looking for a starter at Bundesliga level. Like Maza is somebody. Exactly. His wages are quite high for someone that hasn't played. However, his transfer fee is really, really low. 24 years old. I wonder if he's worth, like, just as a player for our reserve team who could maybe step in. I'm going to consider, like, 140k is such little money that he plays for the reserves, and maybe if we end up with an injury crisis or we get some easy opposition in a cup, maybe he gets a chance to impress, and then if he does impress, who knows where it goes from there. So Carden, how is preseason going, Mustardon? Welcome in, my dude. It's going well. I mean, we're still in June. So we're not moving at much of a pace, but we've found some players that we like. Quite a busy off season. Lots of comings, lots of or there will be lots of comings and lots of goings once we eventually get to the 1st of July. If I can make a decision on some of these players, not looking too great in terms of our options at the moment for an attacking midfielder. Right, Max Dowman playing in Poland as a left winger. 500 minutes isn't that great, but actually, because he hasn't played that much, the performance isn't as bad as you might think. He moved on a free just this season. Hasn't really got any other first team football to judge on though, unfortunately. So Rich says he's going to write a detailed post in Discord at some point. A, they're very good players and adaptable. B, it's a good tactic but not a match engine breaker. The screen capture of it is in the tactics forum. I did indeed see that, indeed. It's also not a gegenpress. Don't use those tactics. It's amazing though, isn't it? Amazing. So El Norby says the first half was pure PSG domination. Is it still 0-0 though? I mean, the important thing is when you have that domination is to ultimately get those goals, right? You need them. Oh my! Relea, gegenpressing, welcome in! Welcome in, hola! How are you? How was the rest of the stream? I hope it all went well. Did you move on from Temperley? Did you make the move? It's lovely to see you. Welcome in as well, Onubuensa.
It's not the statistics! It's not the statistics! You tell me, how do you measure somebody that could balance a balloon in a wind tunnel on a needle?
Oh, bless you very much for the subscription. Thank you very, very much, my dude. And Onubuensa is in as well. Now, I believe Onubuensa, does that mean from Huelva? I think that's what it said when I was using the Google Translate earlier. A big, huge, from crazy Bolivian Polenta's cousin. All the polenta. We're Diego Polenta eating all the polenta. You've went away finally. Which team did you move to? Which league did you move to? Marvelous stuff. It's the same city, Recreativo. Perfect. And El Norby's confirming it's still 0-0 in the PSG game. I mean, whilst PSG are on top, I really, really hope they get the goal. Really set things up for the second leg as well. And you've returned to Germany. unfinished business, really, isn't it? It's unfinished business. After Heidenheim, you need to go back and prove to the virtual Germans that you guys are absolutely going to dominate everything. Now, so I do apologise, guys who are in. If you aren't following Relayhouse, you most definitely should be. Absolutely wonderful gentleman, a great streamer, a great podcaster. Obviously in Spanish, as you could probably guess by the name, but very, very accommodating when I was in his stream earlier. Speaking English when he really, really didn't need to. I very, very much appreciated. We were considering raiding out over to him the other night, as we said. So for those of you guys who can speak Spanish, if you don't know Relay Out already, I don't know why you don't. But head on over. Absolute gentlemen. Welcome on in. So we're just doing a lot of transfer stuff at the moment, or specifically a lot of looking at players and then not making transfers. Right. Third division of Germany isn't really going to be ready to make the step up. Alan Sonora, perhaps? Polenta came back. Incredible. It's near April 2030, 16th in Bundesliga. The direct rival is Heidenheim. It's perfect. Like, the story is there. Herven's in again. Welcome back, my dude. Don't worry, men. You are our boss in this FM universe. I mean, we're all our own bosses, to be fair. So he speaks English, so be free to enter on regular streams to have a little bit of banter. You are. I appreciate so much how accommodating you were earlier on. It's beautiful. Blue Lines, it's more browsing than actually doing transfers. It is a lot of browsing. So we're looking for, right now, the last piece we're looking for is some kind of like playmaker type player. And we are struggling. So we're looking at Alan Sonora. Sonora has not registered more than 6 assists in a single season. So we're going to pass on him as well. We've got Sakamoto, who's more of a wing back. We're going to not interested there. Jeremy Boga. Like, I wouldn't expect Boga to be particularly good in terms of assists, and he's not. No more than 4 in a season. We can discount him already as well. How's Ahamada getting on? For Onger, down in League 3 assists. 6 in League 3, 4. Not good enough for me, I'm afraid. Not good enough. Rui Cerejo, a youngster. No first team football. Again, we need a starter in Bundesliga, in European football next season, so that's not a consideration. I'm guessing that Bryce Mercier won't be either. He's scored goals at reserve level. 19. Like, he's not the answer. He's not what we're looking for right now. But maybe if the scouts decide that they want to look at him further, it could be okay. Like Aladu at Hertha. He wasn't particularly great. He's never really caused us a threat, so we can pass there. Barcock we looked at last year. Somebody clipped me looking at Barcock and repeatedly saying Barcock, so I will be careful there. Again, more of a goal scorer than a creator, unfortunately. So Blue Lines, yes, it was. Sorry, I've read that ended. Herben, long time no see. How are the saves going? And did you also use the updated version? So the saves are going well. This is our first season in the Bundesliga, and we finished 7th, which means we're in Europe next season. Which is why we're spending so long over transfers, because we've suddenly got a lot more pressure to perform. And did you use the updated version? No, we use the regular Football Manager, not on like any of the updated match engines. And the save started like a number of months ago, so it's not on any updated database either. We started back into that 2023. So we don't have like updated databases. Right, Serie C players aren't going to be able to make the step. Could, though, Martigani make the step? 5 goals, 5 assists in 24 games isn't bad.
12-9. The season before's decent. 7-4. What's our scouting level on Martigani? Scouting level isn't that good. So let's get a little bit more information about him. Might be worth it. Might be worth it. Alsvenken, I don't think he can make the step up from there. Stepanovic has to have been incredible, and he's never played. So we've got some scout priorities now. There's 16 players being looked at in total. Maybe, hopefully from them, we'll be able to get ourselves a new defensive midfielder, a new advanced playmaker, and a new target forward. Well, them and the others who are currently on our shortlist as well. So, fingers crossed. Nice, congrats. Thank you very much, my dude. El Norby, PSG had an offside goal, inches, and a questionable last man tackle inside the penalty area. So when you say a questionable last man tackle, as in like you think it should have been a penalty, or just that it was just risky? It took a last ditch tackle to stop the attack. So El Ouardi's gone. That's okay. We've got our man already. Kenneth Schmidt. Until an offer comes in, we've got to feel reasonably safe there. There's a red cardable challenge. Old VAR would have given it. Looked like a penalty and a red. My word, Liverpool in their luck. Liverpool in their luck. I'm sure there will be Liverpool fans claiming that they're hard done by the referees, because they always do. Right, our season, yeah, we knew about the fixtures already. We'd seen them. Start away from home against Holstein Kiel. Home against Augsburg. Away against Dortmund. Not the worst start. We can live with that. Not that worried about that. Youngster leaves. Wage rises come in. All of this is pretty standard. Maxim de Kuiper, who scored the goal against Villa yesterday for Club Brugge, currently at Saint-Trudan. We don't need a left wing back, but yeah, interesting that he's come up. So Davy Selke is going to join our coaching team, which means that Bjorn Muller... Is Bjorn Muller about to be sacked? Bjorn Muller, he plays cautious football. I like having two fitness coaches at this level. So Bjorn Muller has been sacked so that Davy Selke can continue on his Darmstadt journey now as a coach. This PSG side is very fun to watch. That's good to... I mean, the signing of Kvaratskhelia is incredible. My word, how jealous everybody must be. It's a brilliant signing, and kind of feels like what we expected them to have with Mbappe, Neymar, and Messi. Yeah, I love Kvaratskhelia. I love him so much. Bill says, I think Gerrard first and Klopp after were cursed. Slot's shiny head is our good luck charm. Fair enough. Now, I would certainly say that Steven Gerrard was definitely cursed. Definitely cursed. I mean, you did win the Champions League. Let's be fair. But for a player who was meant to be that good, the trophy return over his career was atrocious. Now, this might seem like I'm trying to wind you up. I'm not. But that's a good start to a sentence, isn't it? It looks like Arne Slot is going to win the league in his first season. Does that start to bring question marks over whether Jurgen Klopp's spell in charge was as successful as it should have been? I'll leave that hanging. Right. Physio, not that worried about that. Rashidi is going to move to Norwich. That's a nice €2 million profit. Well, some of that's going to be eaten up by Dortmund, but we've bought in a new right back. Rashidi goes in the last year of his contract. That's marvellous for us. Staff contracts. We said we'd let Gospodarek leave. We're letting all these guys leave. That's fine. So we've got don't offer contracts on these guys. Ibrahim Mazza. We've got the final bit in there. So as a second team player, elite flair. That's why we're looking at him. Elite flair, good movement, good fit. Like, there's no weaknesses in his attacking sense, no weaknesses in his passing or in his ball control. Kind of things that we want for an advanced playmaker. Doesn't do anything defensively. That again is absolutely fine. Good determination, good acceleration and pace and stamina. Lacks balance. That is a concern as far for me in that respect. I do like a player to have balance. Teamwork, that's fine. Work rate, that's fine for a playmaker type. I think 140k, possibly. 15.5k per week though is too much. Now, why would he take a wage cut at this point? That's perfectly reasonable, but yeah, I feel like he needs to be willing to accept closer to about 10k. Stick him in the reserves. Yeah, well, we'll pass on him. So he had a goal disallowed tonight. There we go. There we go. Lestri's in. Welcome in, Lestri. How are you doing? Where are you, Rashidi? Indeed. Irvine, I support Feyenoord and we miss him very much. How do you feel about Brian Prisk now the dust has settled? Sabil says you've been a fan since you were 10, saw the absolute worst. I'm not getting upset easily. Klopp is a Liverpool legend, but he was definitely burnt out and transferred that to the team as well. The same roster is playing with way more energy this year. They are indeed. They absolutely are. The way I look at it is this, says Blue Lions. There was very limited moves in the summer, and so this is Klopp's team. And who could expect the Man City fall and Arsenal's injuries? Also, to have Salah playing so well in his final year is also a big factor. I don't think it harms Klopp's success at all, really. Now, you see, I would say that's part of the reason why it might dampen Klopp's legacy, is because it is very much Klopp's team, and Klopp's team was really, really disappointing. In fact, Klopp's team were probably going to, in that COVID year, Klopp's team were probably going to win the league anyway. But he did only win the league in that season. That was very, very weird. And Arne Slot comes in, takes that team and turns them into contenders. 'Cause yes, there's been the poor performances by Man City. There's been the injuries to Arsenal. But the points per game that Liverpool are accruing, I mean, that is championship form. So, Rich, regarding Klopp, in my opinion, no. This season, Arsenal and Man City have been significantly weaker, and Salah is having the best EPL season ever. He should be winning the Ballon d'Or, to be honest. You've got to think that he's got to be very much in the running for the Ballon d'Or, surely. So, Postcode, welcome in, my dude. How are you? Lovely to see you. Priska is out. We have RVP. I know, indeed. That's why I ask. Because like the Prisk experiment is over. It's interesting to see why you think that maybe it went wrong. Like there were many similarities between the way that Prisk's side set up in Prague, and the way that Slot had you working last season. So it feels like formations might have changed, but like there should have been a reasonable amount of continuity there. Salah has failed to assist or score versus one Premier League team this season. That's outstanding form. It is sensational. Absolutely sensational. Popovic was a player we were looking at, and he's now gone out on loan, so we can remove him and cancel the assignment. Rich agrees with Blue Lions. Add that Klopp's last bunch of signings have now had a year plus bedded in and are showing their best. That's fair. That is fair. The element that yes, it might be someone else's team, but they're also now settled. Players like Gravenberg, players like Soberslai had longer to get accustomed to the English game. Leicester says, you reckon Karen Carney had a point with Leeds under Bielsa with running out of steam, and that could apply to Liverpool under Klopp. Helped that they had a few months break, to be honest, in my eyes, in that 1920 season. So I certainly hold a certain amount of that theory to Leicester. Now, I think that the way that Liverpool had started that season, I think they would have won the league anyway. But having that break, having those additional rests during games to once they were back and playing without fans around, I think certainly helped Klopp's very, very, very aggressive, intense approach. Now, every team had the same things to work against, work with or work against. And the fact that they did a better job of it deserves to be rewarded too. So as much as I call it a weird season, it is very much a legitimate championship. You can't take that away. Legitimate. No, I'm joking. Right, so we've got the report through on Jelicic now. No injury proneness. That's my main issue. Could be there. 6.5 million to 9.5 million. So if we split the difference, that'll be about 8 million potentially. 12 and 8 assists in the last 2 seasons, but it is a big step up. It's a lot of money for us, for a player that would be needing to make a big step up. We've got time. We will keep him on that list. We'll keep him on that list. We feel like we'll reject the interview. Now, had we not qualified for Europe, I think we might have entertained it. But there is no way that we're going to qualify for Europe and then bail on them. Right, Alex Kroll. Extensive knowledge now. Let's have a look at him from an attribute point of view. Elite teamwork. Good at all things defending. Good at all things physical. Can pass. Good technique. Good first touch. That's all I'd want from a defensive midfielder, realistically. Yeah, like his weaknesses aren't a concern. No, nothing from a trait standpoint. Now, currently 32. 13 million euros upwards, probably a bit too much. So our record, we set our record transfer with Kenneth Schmidt at 8 million euros. I might be quite happy to go up to, say, 15 million euros for like the marquee signing. But otherwise, I'd want to keep anything else underneath that 8 million. Alex Kroll is not that marquee signing. Bill says Salah is absolutely insane this year. I cannot see anyone surpassing him for the Ballon d'Or. I can't see anyone surpassing him for the Ballon d'Or. But I also know that the Ballon d'Or can be a bit weird at times. Sir Herman says he switched from a 3-5-2 to 4-3-3. Didn't have a good relationship with one of the assistants, and he came after Slot. That's fair. The Bielsa burnout was real. The Bielsa burnout was very, very real. Bill Houdini, worth pointing out that the signings belong to Michael Edwards more than perhaps Klopp. That is also a very reasonable point. Right, so Sunguntu Magassa, defensive midfielder, marks tightly, dictates tempo, stays back at all times. I like stays back at all times. Attribute point of view, good at jumping. Well, elite at jumping. Again, none of his weaknesses are things that I'd be concerned about. I do have a question. Moves ball to right foot before dribble attempt. Now, does that mean that he's likely to dribble more than a player that doesn't have that trait? Because it's perfectly reasonable to move it to your stronger foot. That's absolutely fine. But does it? It's not dribbles more often. And if you were to tell him to dribble less, would that be a trait that never ever comes into play? He's certainly more on the affordable side if it's under 8 million. Pretty solid at Zweite Bundesliga level. But these are players that we are looking for to come in as starters. We'll keep an eye on him. I'm not convinced. More scouting needed on the guys in Japan. More scouting needed on the striker in Brazil. What's the information on Nordas? So no concerns about injuries there. It's extensive, but that's not full knowledge. So Lasse Nordas. Why am I scouting Lasse Nordas? Because the one season where he played a decent amount of games, he did score. Everything else, he's been on the fringes. That's why I'm scouting him. He can jump. He's strong. In fact, no real weaknesses as far as we're concerned. Plays with back to goal, moves ball to left before dribbles. Yeah, I'm okay. That might be an option. 3.6 million would be a bargain. Rich says she was spot on and got trolled to the point she had to quit social media because, what's the best way of putting it? Football fans are arses. Leslie, it was absolutely disgusting what happened. Dear God, it was. Postcode says it'll all be fun until City lose on Saturday. Bayern are now 2-0 up, are they? Musiala scored. Did I build a new skin? I am playing around with stuff, Irvin, indeed. So based on a screenshot of So Rare, not a website site I used, but I liked the idea. So we are playing around with ideas and seeing things. So it's not something that's publicly released, I'm afraid. Greavesy says, but as a Leeds fan, the pre-burnout Bielsa was a morale boost I'm still feeling. I mean, it is perfectly reasonable to acknowledge that Bielsa ball is obscenely intense. But that doesn't mean it's not entertaining. And ultimately, isn't that the whole point? Bielsa says it himself. His job is to entertain and to make football fun for the fans. And sometimes, if that means that you've got to run every player into the ground so they're all injured, so be it. Who needs to worry about their physical well-being in the long term? Jalil Abdullahi. He's not injury prone. He wins his headers as a big man. He scores an impressive rate. He gets into shooting positions in an impressive rate. Like those shots, that XG, they're good quality chances as well. Elite jumping, elite strength, elite balance, elite aggression. Thank you very much, Lescree. I evidently no. I evidently don't know how to drink. Oh my. Bless. Jalal, I said that I'd be willing to spend 15 million on one player. I'm liking the look of Jalil Abdullahi. Great physical profile. Not particularly good at passing, not particularly good in terms of vision, but that's all right. Like as a target forward, like if he's getting knockdowns, that's kind of okay. 22 goals in 29 games in the Eredivisie, so not too much of a step up to Bundesliga. 25 years old, fairly determined. A very, very strong candidate there. Very, very strong candidate. Leicester, a big boy up front who's Norwegian. Colour me shocked, indeed. Indeed. It's more than just football fans. It's this horrible misogyny that's taken root in society via social media. I mean, it's visible because of social media. Maybe I'm too cynical in that regard, I'm afraid, but I feel like that misogyny has always been there. Maybe it's just my hatred of society. But yeah, I've got to say that it feels like there has been some emboldening of certain viewpoints in recent years that have allowed people to feel more comfortable doing it, and that makes it more visible on social media because people now feel emboldened that they can say the god awful things that they've been thinking or joking about amongst areas that they feel are, it's the people down at the pubs. This locker room talk and banter nonsense. Like, there are people who've been saying this stuff for a very, very long time. And it's very, very disheartening. They're all shitters. I think is my politest way of putting it. Cadamarteri's not as impressive from an attribute standpoint. Reasonably prolific. Probably slightly lower level than Eredivisie. Looks to be more expensive as well. So I'm going to say no to Cadamarteri. Devin De Corte. It's not the kind of profile of player I'm looking for. He's a goal scorer more than... Good vision though. With attributes revealed, he doesn't have elite flair. Still need more knowledge. Like, not the profile we're looking for right now, but maybe worth keeping an eye on, just generally speaking. Yuri Mackles is more on the creative side. We still don't have great knowledge there. Let's look at him more. Jacquier, we do have extensive knowledge now. Adaptability issues to be considerate of. Although he's Swiss, so he should at least speak German. He should be able to settle in. So if those attributes are right, great vision, great technique, he has fallen short. So we were looking for players with elite flair, just to be clear there. So, great perfectionist. Oh. Doesn't say we've found out anything about his injuries. Maybe Jacquier. Jacquier is looking good. Right, so Carden asks, do I use recruitment focuses? If so, how do you set them up? So the way that we do things, Carden, is we only allowed to not allowed. We disable player search, so all our players come from a list of scouted players. So subsequently, my focus with the recruitment focus is just to build up a very, very big pool of players. So it's really, really basic. We go, generally speaking, by divisions that we have on full detail. And basically any age possible, ongoing, and really, really low expectations in terms of ability. I don't mind if the scout thinks that a player is going to be just 1 star, because once we've got them in that list, we can then use stats to actually weed out the players we're looking for and make our assessments as to whether we think that they can move up to the level that we're at. So Postcode says, as a target forward, he'll be fine. What's his strength like for the hold-up? His strength was somewhere between 11 and 15, so kind of okay there. But yes, is that Danny's son, Lestry? It is Danny's son. So Hervan, yeah, I set up the scouting recruitment there. Rich says, I think the misogyny has taken harder, nastier edge now. It's also apparent in global surveys, Andrew Tate, etc. type views.
It's literally pretty much everywhere, not just the UK and US. I mean, at the risk of getting too political, like, generally speaking, there has definitely been more prevalence of that. Oh, what do they call it? What's the stupid name for it? It's manosphere, isn't it? It's manosphere. Yeah, absolutely poisonous shit. And certainly there's been an element of it becoming acceptable, which is disgusting. But my issue is and why I'm more disaffected, not disaffected. I'm more numb to it, is because society has enabled that. Like, there were enough people that hold that view to enable it to even rise in the first place. Does that make sense? I'm not explaining it very well. I do apologise, but yeah. It's all shit, basically. Right, Martigani. He's lost his flair as well. So once we're starting to find out a little bit more about these players, they're not meeting the requirements. We can pass through that. We might actually get to the 1st of July. We might make it at least to the point where we actually bring in our players. Hopefully. Sergio is worth keeping an eye on. Possibly indeed. Saporto asks, does Coritiba support Coritiba or Pathetico? Shocking. Coritiba is a Coritiba fan. You'll be fine that to say. Rafinha has scored. Interesting. That's a... Oh, I mean, Barca, they're okay this season. It's weird because they seem to blow hot and cold. They'll spend like a month looking like the greatest team that has ever existed, and then have a month looking like they've never played football. But they seem to be pretty good at the moment. They're exciting going forwards. Quality players. Rafinha is amazing, isn't he? Khan says, oh, interesting. I have no clue the best way to set up recruitment focuses, so I just do one for players in the last year of their contract and one for Wonder Kids. I mean, if it's working for you, if you're finding players, perfect, no need to change it. If it's not working for you, I do recommend heading over to RDF Tactics channel over on YouTube. He's done a thing about recruitment focus. It's not something I've applied myself because the way I play, I need a very, very specific approach. But a lot of people have said very, very good things about it. So I can heartily recommend pretty much anything that RDF Tactics does, to be fair. So postcode, I was depressed enough before all the world went to poo. It's just no good now. Indeed. This is the the difficulty of, like, wherever you turn, it's just negativity. And like you open up and you see that Trump has decided that he wants loads of people to die, or that there's another war breaking out somewhere over here, or that over in the UK we've got a government who've decided that actually, despite being Labour, the real enemy is the poor, and they're going to sanction more people on disability benefits. And you're like, it builds on you. Absolutely. It is exceptionally frustrating and depressing. There's not even that much you can do about it. But we do. We try and crack on as best as we can. And sometimes that's really, really tough, and it needs a little bit of help from others, from those around you, from professionals. Dear God, my therapist must love me over the last 4 years or so, because he's guaranteed that I'm going to be a client forever. Guaranteed money. It's the one industry that does really well out of this time. Right, let's release these guys. He's gone as well. Nürnberger. We are looking for an upgrade, so we're going to hold fire on that. That stuff can all happen later down the line. So Mohammed says, watching the defending for Kubasi's red card, I have to agree with you there. Fair enough. Greavesy, I got to watch Rafinha play at Ellen Road in front of my eyes. To think, Greavesy. Wasn't that such a crazy... Like, signing Rafinha was crazy. Rafinha then going to Barcelona was crazy. Like, everything about it just seems absolutely mad. Here we go. We have got things, well, about to be open. Do we have Nemeth back? We do have Nemeth back, so let's get him on the transfer list. Let's get him off the loan list. We've got a bid for... I don't remember that bid coming in. Oh, because it met the minimum release clause. Right, okay. That's perfect. So we look like we've got Tubeck leaving. Can we get a bid in for Dustin Forkel yet? Still no. So, as Mo said in The Simpsons, immigrants. I knew it was them even when it was the Bears. Bill says, policy analyst here, watch less news if possible. Yep. Rich, they were talking about the mental health impact of the world on the Rest is Politics podcast a few days ago. I haven't seen it. I you know what I mean. I watch it, but I still listen to it as a podcast. It seems weird saying that. I haven't seen the podcast, but you know what I mean. So sometimes that's true. You have to know when to take a step back. Indeed. Carden says, is Wimmer still a starter for you? In my Chemie Leipzig save, he's now my backup right centre-back in the Zweite Bundesliga. So he's going to be in he's a rotation option. We don't have, at the moment, I expect it to be Schifferl as the starter. But the way that I see this team, right, is we have our lineup would look something a little bit like this. So Raphael Schifferl and Benedict Wimmer are like 1A and 1B. Both have an opportunity to win the starting job. They are likely to rotate quite a lot. Whichever one is on the bench is likely to be the backup for the centre spot and for the right-hand spot behind Adarabayo. So there isn't a decision made yet as to whether Wimmer is a starter for this season or not. But he's certainly there and thereabouts. So I have to stay updated for work. A month of Trump already burnt me out. I can imagine. Kirill says, fucking hell, I work with the news, so I'm a therapist treasure too, but I don't have enough money for therapy, but I can relate. That's fair. I mean, like, NHS for me, thankfully. That's the other reason why he knows that he's got a client for life as well, because I can't risk getting better. Because if I ever come off the list, it's then going to be another 3 years before I can get back on with the way our NHS waiting lists work. So Mohammed says he's inspired by the obstinacy of those who are suffering from the world's inadequacies and still persist in trying to make a positive effort on the world. Indeed. FM Llama is in. Welcome in, sir. How are you? Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you. Now, oh. We were meant to... Oh, no, it's not this save. It's okay. That's absolutely fine. Remind us that tomorrow, if anyone is in for the stream tomorrow at Trento with the Jazz manager, remind me that we need to make sure we get that scout report for Till Winkleman. Thank you for popping in, Llama, and reminding me. How are you doing, sir? Now, if you guys aren't following Llama, there was something seriously wrong. So, you see that lovely little thing appearing up in the top right-hand side view, which actually isn't going to be that side, isn't it, if I think about it in terms of pointing. Click on that heart, because FM Llama is the best of us. There is like no competition whatsoever. We've got some great streamers in the FM community. You've got your Tony Jamesons, you've got your Sims Muellers, you've got your Zealands, you've got your Work the Spaces, and then at the top is FM Llama. And I'm not just saying that because he's here. Genuinely one of the most entertaining individuals I think that there is out there. Calm, delightful, knowledgeable, entertaining, amusing. Just absolutely perfect. In fact, you should probably think about going and watching him now, see if there are any VODs over on the channel, because we will be ending relatively soon. Yeah, like that's like the man, FM Llama. Incredible man, incredible. So yes, we've got our signings in, which is a beautiful time to end the stream, even if we've still got some more business to eventually do. They are unhappy with one of those signings, but otherwise, generally positive. Paulo Grassa comes in, his value jumps up from the 3 million we spent to 7 million. That's encouraging. Johan Hove, free transfer, 2 million. Maybe is on the fringes. Anselmo Garcia McNulty's value has dropped. That doesn't bode well. Pazorex values has risen. We've got a starting right back there. Free transfer, Hoffa Highland, low value. They have little hope on him there. Adara Bio, low value. Doesn't bode well. Stenbring, he's anyway come into, he's in the under-19s immediately. He's there as a reserve team signing. Adam Asnu, looks like he could be a star. I think we can be pretty pleased. That is 8 new arrivals for a total outlay of 12.5 million euros. I think we've done all right. We still need some players to bring in, which we'll be doing on Friday, and we'll even be playing some games. So how about that? So let's say a huge thank you to everyone who dropped in. I want to say a massive thank you to Laleha Al Gelgan Pressing for the raid and for being an absolute gentleman whilst I was in a stream earlier on this evening, which was beautiful. I want to say thank you to Ulems and CatDog9095 for the follow, to Martinez96, to Postcode as well. Thank you very much, Rob. Really appreciated. We're back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. doing our Jazz Manager save. That's an entirely separate save to what we've got going on here. That's on Twitch only. And then we will be back with Darmstadt on Friday evening at 6 p.m. I would be delighted to see you there. Obviously, if you can't make it, no worries at all. And